Recording.
Woo. Hey, Eric. How's it going, man?
Good, man. We are at episode number 4 of Robot and the Bear podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, technically, I guess it's the 5th one, but we are at number 4.
Yeah. And, this is our attempt at trying to make this a weekly
Podcast.
podcast. So I think that, because people don't want to wait 2 weeks.
Which is a great thing. I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad you don't have to wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Don't wait 2 weeks then.
Yeah, we'll give we'll give it to you weekly.
Yeah, we're gonna try to force feed you whatever stuff.
But before I got here, I got a chance to stop by the Gagosian.
That's the first time I've ever been there. Have you been to the Gagosian Gallery in Los Angeles in Beverly Hills?
No, and I was shocked how close I used to live to it, and I never attended. But last time we talked about the new Murakami exhibition with a name I can't pronounce.
Yeah, you know what? I already forgot the name.
Yeah, it's something 2.
Yeah.
It was good. It's a good show. What'd you think of it?
I thought it was awesome. I really liked it because I think from what I've heard and read, most of what I've heard and read were people saying, "Oh yeah, there's all this text about social media in it," and all the pictures I've seen were all photos of people took pictures of the text in the art. You know, like you do a painting and there's a little there's like a manga talk bubble. Right. That just has text in it that is written. So basically, if you own that painting or you saw that painting, it's image with an embedded text in it, right? So I kind of thought that's what it was all about. And so I went to that show thinking, oh, this is going to be, that's going to be 50% of the art was going to be text. Right. And I think it wasn't even close to 50%.
No, it was just a couple pieces upstairs.
That's what I'm saying. So I went in with the wrong idea of what it was, and I thought, God, that doesn't sound so great.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, and I didn't really want to, I wasn't that excited to see it. I wanted to see it, but I wasn't that excited to see it because I thought it was going to be all text. And I thought it was going to be heavily text. I mean, that's just what I heard. I think that was everyone's takeaway, to use a shitty phrase. What is your takeaway from the show? It's like, I hate that, but I just used it, so I'm a douchebag. Yeah, there you go. But I went there pleasantly surprised that it wasn't about that, although it exists in there. And even the big paintings he did, I mean, there's some ginormous paintings in there. Yeah. And they have some in there, but you have to kind of look for it because sometimes I found one or two little text bubbles in the bigger paintings.
Oh, really?
You didn't see any?
They're
in there.
Yeah,
they're in there too, but they're small.
Okay.
And you have to kind of look for it, but they're there. But in the end, no, I mean, on one hand, it is about social media and kind of effects of it, I suppose, and how it affects him. And
apparently he takes upward, and it says so in the painting that he'll take upwards to 2 hours before he posts to Instagram, and he spends hours going through Instagram, apparently.
So I left really fulfilled, though, because the show to me was a lot more than what I thought it was going to be about. I did see, his classic work. Yeah. I saw new work, pushing into a new direction. Yeah. And I think likewise, the social media text a little bit was about, a little bit about the past, a little bit about the present, and definitely about the future. Right. And and including himself, and some of it's just, effects on art. Well, I thought that was interesting.
There was one of the paintings there where he was trying to, I guess, communicate to an audience that would be 50 years in the future, where Instagram is no more and social media is no more, which I also thought was kind of interesting because this is a painting, one of the oldest forms of visual communication, and he's basically saying this painting will transcend all of that.
Well, only in 50 years.
Right. Well, 50 years, I'm sure, the world we live in now will be completely different.
Oh, for sure.
But
and those things will probably be gone.
Right.
There won't be Instagram, Facebook. I don't know if those are going to be around. I really don't know.
They'll manifest as different kinds of forms of technology. But then the whatchamacallit, one of the paintings was going on about kind of like a manifesto about that Kanye West video. Yep. And I tried reading it. Like I sat there and like by the time I got halfway through a second paragraph, I just like, all right, I'm tapping out.
That one was I was less interested in. I mean, I like Kanye West a little, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Murakami's involvement with Kanye West, but that's the extent of what I like about Kanye West is
Right.
only that. Like,
Yeah.
I think it ends for me there. Like I'm not friends. I'm not friends. I'm not fans of Kanye West outside of Murakami's involvement,
Right.
unfortunately. So reading that was less interesting.
Yeah.
But then knowing about the Louis Vuitton kind of collab thing, that was one of the in part of the text,
Right.
right?
That was the one with the art form cover, right?
Yeah. And I thought that was interesting because that kind of led me into where he is today and doing these collabs.
Mm.
Like he's kind of doing these collabs, and this whole time I didn't quite understand it, and I wasn't quite into it because you said it last time that he went from being an otaku to now being a cool kid.
Oh, I said this off of the the recording, but yeah,
Oh yeah. But that makes sense because I was thinking, oh, that's kind of true because now he's kind of hanging out with the coolest people supposedly, right?
He's like the star of Complex Con, which is like one of
Yeah.
which is compared to Designer Con is the cool con.
But that's also like he went from being a like a geeky person into comics, into marginal culture, I suppose you'd say,
right.
into like now it's the supreme, the hype beast crowd, and it's a 180-degree
He's a
difference to me.
tastemaker. He's like the
Yeah.
ultimate,
But then ultimately I kind of understood. Well, I thought the show kind of was a little of both of it because he's sort of talking about social media, which that social media is what kind of created all of that kind of hype, right?
Right.
Like the whole hype beast thing. I mean, it feeds it, right? Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, all that kind of stuff just feeds into it. And I just kind of thought that was an interesting commentary he did because he puts it into his art,
Right.
and he's kind of like it's reaching in a different direction, but he's also like kind of like laying out, what's making popularity happen.
Right.
And then at the same time, then it goes down to the other art downstairs, which had like a lot of emoji art.
Right. Well, I was kind of
and it was
curious whether or
upstairs,
not
too. It
that
was
was going to
upstairs, too.
become like an actual, like, is he going to sell those as stickers for the iPhone? You know,
Right. Could I guess easily can, right?
Yeah.
But I realized that some of that was also in the paintings. Like there were some of his characters are now like had triangle eyes and square eyes, and like the Kai Kai and Kiki characters, right?
Right.
The rabbit-like characters, they have like they had like emoji eyes on in the big painting, the big pink and white painting.
Right.
Had emoji eyes on some of it, so it's kind of like interesting how that's creeping into the art without being overt, because you have to look closely. You're like, there's hundreds of characters in that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
if you break it down, you kind of realize, oh, there's also like he's using some of the emoji kind of work in there too. I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, it's in there. So he's kind of speaking to it without actually being overt with text. So it was in there. I thought that was interesting.
That painting didn't really catch my attention. I think
I'd take it, dude. You just go, I don't want that painting, but I'll take it. So I'm just playing. There's the other painting too that we like. It's the blue one, right? It's kind of bluish with a Daub character, and it's that's a wild painting.
it's a really frenetic painting.
Yeah.
It kind of like it's like the son of the puking painting. Do you remember that huge one where it's kind of like a 3/4 view and it's like
yeah, sure.
stuff coming out of the mouth? Like
Sure.
that's one of his more popular paintings. That there's like his most popular painting is probably the tsunami painting,
Sure.
right? Where it's like the waves and the Daub kind of riding the crest of it.
That one's popular. 727, 272, I believe that's what it's called.
Right. And
Yes, but this is just another manifestation of his
that.
Daub character. But then if you look again closely at that painting, man, it's everything's in there. Like if you look closely at it, there's like references to old art of his from I'm going to say guess around 20 years ago.
Right.
I look closely and I'm like, oh, there's like elements of paintings from 20 years ago in here that he's putting in. And then he has his whole like, his family thing with himself, Daub, and all the characters are in there too,
Right.
in a specific place. Man, I when I looked at it, I was like, man, this painting right here says this is like his career, sort of, is what I kind of how I saw it. The career up to this moment is what I saw in that painting, and that's why I thought that one was really important, for him. I mean, whatever he's trying to convey, but that one is just like everything was in there.
I found myself
I was tripping out. I was like, wow.
I found myself staring a lot at the koi painting.
Yeah, and that's the one that is different than the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
And because it would remind me of the cover of the book with the dragons painted on it.
Sure. Yeah.
And,
it's another direction, right? Something different.
New direction. But like I found myself kind of like trying to figure out how like the background textures were created. So I spoke to some of the people at the desk, and apparently like it was all just layers and layers of paint and sanding and stuff like that.
Sure,
You
because
know,
see, I wasn't sure. That's a good point. There are parts that look kind of like
they
they're
look like
sanded.
silk, but there's some parts that look like they're screen printed because
Yeah,
you could see like a halftone screenish kind
yeah.
of pattern going
And
on
what was
there.
that? Did they say what that was?
I think all I was able to get from them was the sanding part because
Okay.
the fish and all like the flowers, like the daubs and the kaikikis, they're all like screen printed.
Right.
You know, and they probably put just layers and layers of paint on, building it up in order to get that
So
like
you think it's
embossed
still?
look.
You think that stuff's screen printed and not painted by hand?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm
yeah.
not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it is.
It could be because it looked like possibly a print and then it's painted on top of and then sanded here and there. But that's the fish one I'm talking about.
Right.
But then the other ones, I don't know. Like I don't know the process there. I mean,
Well, the
I
art forum one was definitely a silk screen.
that one, yeah.
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 It actually, you know, when I was still living in San Luis Obispo, I remember I was driving down the road and I saw a billboard flapping in the wind, and it was this, like, it was a anti-smoking campaign from the 1990s, the Mind If I Smoke, Care If I Die campaign, and they kind of used images that was referential to like 1950s style photography, and well, it was a great image. So it was on a hill, so I ran up the hill and
Uh-oh.
ripped the billboard off of the billboard because it was like literally flapping,
Right.
it was only adhered at the very top edge, and I was able to rip it down. And my roommate and I, who had a truck, we folded it up, drove it down to back home, and then we drilled it onto the wall. But the halftone screen is so apparent when you're
Sure.
that close to
Yeah.
it, and it reminded me of that,
That-
art form
yeah.
cover.
Yeah, but that was on purpose, I'm sure, right? To give it that. I mean, yeah, obviously, but it's to give it that look.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they're taking like a 12-inch by 12-inch art form cover and
Yeah.
then
Making
like
it giant. Yeah.
giant, like it's
Yeah.
probably like 6 feet by 6 feet.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I'm glad that I saw that. And then the sculptures, those are all bronzes.
Yeah.
So like imagine like how heavy those things
Oh,
are.
1,000 pounds.
You
Or
know,
something.
I like the flower sculpture the most, the gold one.
The gold, the
Yeah,
big one, the
yeah.
big flower, little flower thing.
Because
There's
the-
some beautiful details in that too.
Exactly, like
Yeah,
around the
feet,
head.
and the feet had like leaves on the feet. I don't
Right.
know. I really
yeah.
loved that.
Like there were heads popping out from the sides
Yeah,
and stuff. I was just like,
yeah.
oh, that's cool.
And I like the classic Daub one that was just the blue Daub one.
Yeah.
Just classic, beautiful, like so cool. And I'm not sure, is that new? Do you think, or is that an old one that he just put in there? I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea. I
It's
have
just
no
cool.
idea. Maybe he never did one that
Nah,
size and
well,
just
maybe I don't know. It just looked cool. I was just like, oh, it's so good. Anyways, I love the show. Actually, I don't know what people have said. I didn't read any reviews. Oh, but also I guess I can add. I messaged Murakami
Oh,
because I know Murakami.
yeah.
Hooray
Of
for me!
course.
Whatever.
Yeah,
But
well,
he's a he's rad. So I sent him a message saying how much I liked the show and told him what I thought. Some of the things I said here, but in a message I can't write that much.
Right.
But I'm saying how much I was moved by it and how much
Mm-hmm.
what I expected versus what I got were two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And
What, did he get back to you?
oh yeah. I wrote amazing and spelled correct. Amazing went to Amazon, and he wrote, it said Amazon amazing and whatever, and I wrote all this stuff, and then he just wrote Amazon ? Was his response. I was like, no, fuck, I fucked up, and I just wrote, oh, it's amazing, but I told him what I thought and how much it was way more than what I expected from what I've read, and he said that there wasn't. He said, oh, unfortunately, he said there's not a lot of press on this show. Like he didn't get a lot of press out of it, I suppose.
Well, I mean, like he just had that show with what's his name.
Just recently, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, Virgil Abloh, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, this one to me was, I didn't even see that show, but this one was just, I thought this was fit for a museum, like,
Yeah.
it was very fulfilling to me. Like, I was like, this has everything a Murakami show could have, and it's small, but
Right.
it felt giant to me personally. Like, I felt like, I was like, this is an epic fucking
It's
show.
it's
So
a big, it's
that's what I
a
thought, but-
substantial show for
yeah,
sure.
but I just thought, it's like one of those things where, I mean, ultimately, how many pieces are there in the whole show? Like less than 20, maybe?
No, I mean, there's 20 emojis
Yeah.
right there.
Oh,
right?
that doesn't
Yeah.
count. Isn't that one piece, man?
I guess.
I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? I kind of saw it as not piece-wise, not a gigantic show. Yeah, and the one upstairs too was
six
just,
upstairs.
Yeah.
Then down in the. I mean, like those paintings were huge. And
Yeah, that's
they're
what I'm saying.
yeah.
It wasn't a lot of paintings, but I thought what was said in those paintings to me felt like a giant epic show. That's what I felt.
Right.
And
The ideas were grand.
yeah, and the weirdest part was when you went today. I mean, were there people just doing selfies and selfies and selfies and selfies?
No, I think I was the only one who like
Oh, really?
posed for photographs with the sculptures.
Oh, okay. So when I went, it was all like people that look like they read Hype Beast, and you know what I'm saying.
No,
It was like
there were beautiful people there.
Oh, it was
you know,
super
but
Supreme type people that like would buy Supreme sneakers and Yeezys, I suppose.
oh jeez.
It was that kind of a crowd, all different. Some Chinese, some were like black dudes. It was just all different kinds of people, but everybody was just. It was just cell phones up everywhere, and I was like, I wonder how many people really know this art, or
Right.
this is just a spectacle where you take a picture with the art, and that's it's face value. That's what it is. And I noticed the people upstairs weren't even reading; they just went up there, looked, and then they kind of like took pictures, and then they left. Like I was like, whoa, they didn't spend more than like 5 minutes up there, you know. And I was up there trying to read it. So I mean, 5 minutes, whatever. But I was up there. By the time I was up there, people went up and left before I left. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, oh, these, but different audiences, and that's also pretty awesome. I mean,
well,
with all these people
okay.
going to Gagosian. I mean, fuck, they'll never go to Gagosian unless it's Murakami, right?
Right. And I could probably say the same about myself to a certain degree. But the thing is, because I just, have more interest in pop art than I do in a lot of contemporary art, and that's just me being honest.
Right.
But I mean, like, it's different. We're both like LA. Been in LA for, you've been here a lot longer than I have, but 16 years almost, and frickin' I go to the Gagosian for the first time for this show.
Me too.
Yeah, so
But did it just open or something? Like
no,
it's been there a long time.
It's been a while. It's been there for a while.
bad,
How often do I go to frickin' Blum and Poe? Whenever
Right.
there's a Murakami show or an art show. I mean,
I hear you. Yeah.
So I mean, like,
But still, like, man, yeah. I was like, maybe this place is brand new. Like totally a noob, right?
Right.
Then
Right.
I looked online. It looks like they have a half a dozen locations in New York.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
but I mean, in New York City, there's a half a dozen Gagosians.
I'm just glad that
That's
there's
crazy.
free parking right next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, as long as you like leave the show before an hour is up, you got free freaking parking
Yeah,
right next to it.
sure.
So I was like, yes, because I was
that
like,
was cool.
I was getting worried about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that like
But
right.
I don't know, but I'm hoping that for whoever's listening, you should go check it out, man. You could go look at it for free. I think if you take it at face value, fine. If you want to study it, dude, even better. But it's up to you. It's like it doesn't matter. You know?
I kind of got like after walking away from it, I have this weird feeling that like text like bubbles in art will probably kind of come in vogue just because it was just a way to get an audience member to stand in front of the piece for a lot longer than 5 to 10 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, like I tried reading. I mean, fortunately, they had it all, like, because like the text was all in rainbows. Like
Sure.
every letter, transitioned from one color to the next. It was almost as annoying as like, remember, like, God, what was that? You remember how like Asian people used to like do the cap swishing in text, or uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase.
Oh, yeah, I guess, but yeah, I don't know, man.
It was.
I didn't do that, but
well, I didn't do it. I was too young. I was too
Yeah.
old for that. But
Yeah.
like, it was kind of a Zanga kind of. Was it Zanga? No, not Zanga. Like that thing, like those
Right.
those weird blogs that Asian kids used to be on. But it kind of reminded me, like, it was just hard to read. But like, I think that like, if you want to, I don't know. Like, but on top of that, one of the things I felt like I wish Murakami did was kind of like condensed it down to tweet size
in the
text.
140, whatever.
The 440 character
Whatever.
thing.
But Instagram is just endless. You can write as much as you want.
Yeah, it's
Facebook
true.
too, but I don't know.
And
Yeah.
Then I also,
I did hear it in his voice though. Like as I was reading everything, I could hear his voice saying this because ultimately, like, there wasn't any ginormous vocabulary, like no tricks, no literary. It wasn't written in a way that was like
No, he wasn't trying to be
like Haruki Murakami or something. He was writing. I could hear his voice
Right.
saying these things.
Yeah.
And it was, some of it was brutally honest, right? He wrote that half of his crew or his staff quit after his show in New York like long ago in 2002, right? He wrote that on there, and I was like, oh, I was like brutally honest that he would admit that happened, you know?
Why did they leave?
It doesn't say, but I mean, he said that half of them quit, and then he was like kind of forced
because
to,
they lost faith in his work.
maybe, or there was something happened in New York that was maybe not great. But he said, I guess he had 40
Dude.
staff members went, and half of them quit.
That was like freaking like.
And it's a long time ago, 2002.
Oh, it was a long time, but that was like the peak freaking like remember like that
super
transforming,
a super flat time, but yeah,
super flat, and then like
but I mean,
at
2002, that means, I mean, Aishi worked for Murakami. Maybe it could have been at that time in 2002. Aishi, like Takaoka, there's some people that quit. Like he worked there and he also left. So I wasn't sure if he was one of the ones that were there and left. I feel like, or he might have worked before then too, and then also left.
Right.
But there's a few people that artists that worked for Murakami and then subsequently left.
Well, I mean, maybe to pursue their own careers.
Maybe, but I don't know. That was it sounded like a mass exodus in 2002.
Right.
But he was brutally. I mean, I read that on the wall, and I was like, oh shit.
Well,
I mean,
you got cool. You got to. I mean, it's always good for artists who can be able to accept their own faults.
Yeah.
Right?
So are you gonna put text in your art now?
Maybe.
But just think, that's like, I mean, it's talk bubbles. It's sort of like pseudo manga. I mean,
right. It's got like a comic kind of panel format, and
I mean, it's almost Comic Sans font, but not quite.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that was one of the things I was also
quite,
kind of intrigued by, was that like it was a lot of English.
Yeah.
It was almost all except for like maybe one painting like was in English. So it was totally designed for an American or a Europe, maybe even European audience.
We're the universal language, bro.
There's more people that speak Mandarin in this world than they do English. From
That's
what I understand.
True. That's true. But how many of them are like bumpkins and can't read it?
Oh, well.
That's like that's like a billion right there, and maybe a billion of them can't read it though. Maybe.
Well,
no, I'm
or
sure
maybe
they
can read it, but
no,
like,
they can. I'm just kidding.
Well, there's so many freaking dialects in China too.
Yeah.
56. Right.
56, I believe.
Yeah. My dad was able to speak like 3 or 4 of them.
Is that dialects? No, those that's the ethnicities. I don't know if those are.
No, there's
dialects.
56 minority groups. Like the Han are the number one, but then
are you Han Chinese, bro?
I know my grandmother is Manchu or Manchurian.
Oh, I see. Wow.
Yeah, and she's actually she was according to my aunts and my uncles, she was yellow flag Manchurian, which means like in the realm of royalty.
Oh wow.
So
there you go. Boom.
Yeah, boom.
Luke is a king.
I am an emperor.
Cool.
Cool. But yeah, but so I know I've got Manchurian blood, which is probably the reason why I have really strong northern Asian kind of features. And then like my father was like, I think part Hakka, which is another.
What is that?
I know it's a dialect. I think
isn't that like the merchant, like trader people, like people who trade use that?
Yeah,
as a
I think Hakka basically
like
translates to like the guests. Like,
okay.
So like they like northern, like if
is
there
that
was
the same as Hokkien? Because I've heard people say, oh yeah, they're negotiating in Hokkien.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah,
what is that?
That my father has some of that in him, and
I don't know what that is though. Like how come people are negotiating only in like I'm talking about like street deals, like you want 3 for a $10 T-shirt,
right?
It's in Hokkien.
Yeah, well, or maybe they're just speaking in Hokkien because they're from.
I just heard that's like in Singapore, all those street vendors, a lot of them are using Hokkien as their negotiating like language.
Really?
Like you don't sit there and speak Mandarin, you speak Hokkien. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know what that is.
I was the woman who cuts my hair speaks in a weird dialect too, because I can understand and I could hear Mandarin, but like some of these weird like like even like Sheng, you've heard of Shengdu, like the spicy food. So they have their own diet.
Tasty. Is that what it's called? Shengdu spicy? No,
Shengdu tasty.
Shengdu tasty.
Yeah, that's a pretty popular
that
place.
Made me burn alive.
Oh my gosh,
I couldn't do it. I was sweaty in the first 2 bites of food, but
dude,
it tastes great though.
I had
freaking. Really
I went to Haidi Lao last night with some friends, and like
Haidi Lao sounds like a hot girl's name.
Yeah, it does. It does. But it's a hot pot place. It's like the fanciest hot pot place in Southern California. It's actually from a chain in China. Like whenever
it's called Haidi.
Hai Lao.
Oh, okay, so it's not Heidi.
No,
Like,
Haidelao, I think.
okay.
And it's great. Like you can actually get like A5 Wagyu, for the
Wow.
hot pot there.
Wow.
But like
Is
it's
that a waste to put Wagyu in a hot pot rather than like having?
only if you overcook it.
Okay.
Like if you like switch it around, it's still rare,
Right,
and you
right.
can like get like all the beefy fatty goodness from it.
Right,
Then
right, right.
you're doing good. But like it's $90 for like 6 slices.
Did you
looks
have
like.
that?
Oh fuck no.
Oh, okay. So wait, we're segueing into Heidi Lao here. Tell me about this Heidi Lao place.
Okay,
Because I don't know it.
so it is a hot pot chain in China.
Right.
And like they even have their own beer there. And
Wow.
like when I went to
Oh wait, where is this place?
well, the one in America is in Arcadia.
Okay, so you went to
You know where
Arcadia.
the big Westfield Mall with the Din Tai Fung and like
I haven't been there, but yeah,
Oh,
I know the old Din Tai Fung, which was in the dumpy
the
driveway.
yeah
driveway, dumpy
yeah,
driveway. But yeah.
in the little shopping center,
Sure.
but like yeah, and when they moved to
It's the mall.
the mall, the Westfield Mall there, it's
Yeah,
like
supposed to
super
be-
fancy
it's
mall.
supposed to be amazing, and I haven't been.
It's nice.
So you went to this hot pot place.
went to the hot pot place.
Wait, are
and-
they opening that in Century City Mall too? There's a sign for a hot pot place that's coming, so maybe it's there.
Yeah, if you see
might be-
it's
it might be
called
coming.
Heidi Lao, and their logo
be.
is like an HI with a circle around it.
Hmm.
Like it has that like hand drawn scripty look.
But it's
and,
amazing. Amazing?
yeah, the quality of their meat is like up there.
Right on.
Like shabu shabu quality.
Wow.
Where you don't like dump all the meat into the pot and like pick it out.
Do you have your own separate pot, or is it
and you get your
communal
own
big?
separate pot.
Okay.
And I had the mala style hot pot, which is the one with like an inch layer of chili oil and
Wow.
pepper,
Sounds-
chili flour and like a flour pepper and all that shit. Like
Sounds
it's got that
good.
numbing kind of quality to it, and like the dry.
Sichuan peppercorns, I
Mhm.
suppose that is. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just ate and like after like eating like about like I don't know 4 or 5 like bites, it was just like, and then this afternoon morning for me, I guess, when I woke up, I was paying for it.
Wow.
Oh, I was paying for it.
Ring of Fire.
Like I haven't paid for something like that since I went to frickin' what's that? Helen Ray's.
Oh wow, I've never
know.
been there. I think it's too spicy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah. I'm weak on the spice.
I mean, I get it. I'm not a big spicy. I'm not a huge spicy person either. But like, I kind of feel like when you're eating hot pot, you got to eat it that way.
Yeah,
Like,
you got to
that's-
go for it, right?
That's just the way
Yeah.
it goes, And I forgot to set the timer again.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
okay.
okay. But yeah. So if you are looking for hot pot in Southern California, I highly recommend Heidi Lao.
Heidi
Lao.
Lao.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really good. And it's
Check it out.
and if the wait is way too long, you can just go to Din Tai Fung and
Oh darn.
and just
Din
wait.
Tai Fung.
And just wait like only 40 minutes.
Right.
But
And then they probably have an 85 degree there, right? Do they have that?
I did not see that, but they
Okay.
do have an Uncle Tetsu, which
Oh, what is that?
it's the Japanese style cheesecake.
Right. Oh yeah, get that. That shit's.
Oh, I
yeah.
definitely
good.
get that. It's
Okay.
like I honestly believe the Japanese have perfected the art of cheesecaking.
Do it.
Because it's light, but it has that cream cheesy flavor.
Right.
Do they have any of that on the West Side?
No,
What,
there isn't one.
dude?
No.
That's for your next move, man. Get a freaking Japanese cheesecake place
Oh,
opened
man.
up, near there, like in.
Would be so good.
Oh my gosh, you
Yeah.
would like,
Die.
fuck all these crepe places and like fucking
Yeah.
other dessert places. Crepes are so freaking 1990, man. Like Japanese cheesecake is the way of the now and the future.
Awesome. Yeah.
But you've had it before, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's
down.
so
I'm
good.
down.
Super good. But so also like last night I decided to dive on into and dive on in and watched all 4 hours of Leaving Neverland.
Wow. That's the Michael Jackson documentary that paints Michael Jackson in a picture that is not so pretty.
Flattering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've only watched I watched his movie, the one after he died.
Right.
That movie, which got me really it's like I'm sitting there going, oh, I used to like Michael Jackson in 1984 type of thing or
Sure.
whatever way back. And yeah, I liked all that stuff. And then I was like, okay, this guy is nothing but a bad guy. He's a perv. He's a weirdo, all this stuff, right? So I kind of disliked Michael Jackson. Then I watched that documentary film, the movie, and I was like, fuck, this guy was an artist. He worked so hard. He kind of was he is a musical genius,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
He you know, like right before, until he died, he was ready to go on a giant tour and he was going to blow up again. And
Right.
and I was like, after watching that, after he died, I was like, all is forgiven. You know, like Michael Jackson is the king of pop. He is all these great things. And then here comes this new documentary.
Look, you know, like
So I mean, I'm painting a picture of him that I forgave him for everything, even though he shouldn't be forgiven, I suppose. But I kind of forgot about it. I was like, dude, I just saw the love of him and his music, and I just kind of forgot about all the weird shit. So let's talk about the weird shit.
yeah. Well, okay. Like first of all,
Because, you know,
Off the Wall is probably one of the best pop albums of the 80s.
dude, it's so good.
It's
Is
so
that,
good.
What year was that? Is it early 80s, right?
Yeah, it was before Thriller, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah, for
you
sure
know,
before Thriller.
Thriller was what,
Yeah.
like 87 or something like
No,
that?
before then, right?
86,
I think before then too.
you
I'm
know?
gonna look it up real fast.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Off the Wall is, you know, I mean, like that album is great. And Thriller's a great album too, but I like Off the Wall more because I like the funkiness of it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So, but like, it basically
Off
followed
the Wall is 79.
79.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh, how old was I? Like, you know,
Yeah.
at the time, I was freaking 6 years old when that came out, and
Yeah.
I still think that, like, you know,
And
it is.
Thriller's 82. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the names of the two guys it features. But like I'm bringing it up
You
right
mean
now.
in the documentary?
In the documentary, it
Oh, yeah, yeah.
features. It basically revolves around two guys.
Oh, and the two guys were what, children at the time, right?
Yes. Yes.
So did they make the film, or were they just subjects of the film, kind of a thing?
Well, no, the film was basically about them,
Right.
you
Okay.
know, and like, you know.
So they weren't the filmmakers necessarily.
No, they
okay.
weren't the filmmakers, but they you know, one of them was a kid from a Pepsi ad that Michael Jackson was in.
Not Alfonso. I'm just kidding. No, Alfonso, that dude. I think he was like one of the kids that Michael Jackson liked, right?
Oh,
I think. Well, I don't know. Maybe not.
I
He was
think
like he was like a mini Michael Jackson dancer kind of a guy.
I think. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got the eras all wrong. But
Yeah, one. I think. And then there's another guy. I guess his name's Wade Robson. I'm just looking it up right now, and he was kind of like a kid who imitated, like, you know, Michael Jackson moves, and
wow.
he was from Australia.
Oh.
And like it just gets into, like, you know, how they met, and, you know, like, you know, the kind of things that Michael Jackson liked, like, you know, like bending over and like spreading the cheeks kind of stuff, you know.
What
And
do you mean, just showing them his
yeah,
anus?
yeah, and you know how he would like just jerk off, you know, and Michael Jackson would jerk off to that stuff, and I don't know.
Wait.
It's...
Michael Jackson. Oh man. Okay.
Here we go.
So wait,
Here we
the
go.
So the whole I thought wasn't he chemically castrated, meaning he couldn't get a hard on and all that stuff? Was that nonsense? Or did these kids say no? This Michael Jackson, he sported wood.
Yeah,
The
apparently.
kid said that.
Yeah, like, you know, I think the chemical castration thing is all a myth about, like,
to
you
make
know,
it sound like he couldn't do these things,
Right.
Because he was chemically
castrated,
castrated.
you know, or maybe, you know, I mean, just because,
Scary.
like, you know, imagine, like, you know, like say the tech of them, like, if he did it, and they probably, like, if his, you know, manager, aka his parents, you know, did quote unquote chemically castrate him. Like, what is that? Is that like taking pills, or is that like going in there with acid and, you know,
I don't
tweaking the
know.
balls? You know?
I assume it's medication of some sort that, you know, just like testosterone.
Right.
It's the whatever it is, right? It's
Then
like,
what
it's
if
the
you
opposite.
decide to stop taking that stuff, you know, after a while, you know, after a while, you know,
I
and
don't know, man.
does
Because, you know, his voice is really high. So, I mean, I was wondering if he was taking some kind of estrogen or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what each chemical does, but
Right.
maybe they were giving him that because his voice was really high and
maybe
I don't know.
I don't know, but you know what?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is, like, you know, I've what I mean, like, you know, I didn't grow up in Southern California. I grew up, you know, in Central California, so I was pretty far away from the
Neverland Ranch.
the Neverland Ranch, you
kidding.
know, the rumor mill of Michael Jackson and stuff like that.
Right.
But I remember, like, you know, I've had a couple of people, like, you know, local people tell me, like, oh yeah, like, that's common knowledge, like around here, like like for people that would probably be now be in their 30s, that they knew, like, oh yeah, Michael Jackson, molesting, blah blah blah,
Right.
and
Lusting after children.
yeah, like being into
Ah,
kids and stuff. And I didn't, I wasn't there, around to like know about that,
right.
know about any of
Right.
this,
Right.
but I guess it was kind of common knowledge in Southern California. And like I honestly like thought that he was just like, really like, because he had a childish spirit, like, enjoyed the company of
Little
children
children.
who
Yeah.
were also shared a similar kind of, enthusiasm, childish enthusiasm about life,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I will admit, like after watching that documentary, I am completely convinced that it happened. But do I judge him as a musician? No, because I kind of feel like his music is his music.
Right.
You know,
So the music's still fine, but he was just a fucking.
well, I kind of feel like he was a product of his. I honestly kind of feel like all of this is, to a certain degree, a product of his upbringing.
Right.
Like, I think that, like, like growing up in like in a kind of I'm under the impression of an oppressive kind of home life,
Mm-hmm.
which was all business and like, and a preservation. Like, I mean, if you're going to like try and preserve his voice, because, of like the range that he sang at when he was a kid, like what kind of fucking life is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And
So do you feel sorry for Michael Jackson?
I do.
So okay, what do these kids say? Like what? I mean, for those, I mean, I guess a lot of people probably have watched it already. But I mean, what did they just said? Did they say anything good about him?
Well, basically, like the reason, I mean, like from what I understand, a lot of people who are parents. I'm not a parent. You're not a parent. So we're not like,
But I know better than to put my
if you had a kid. But the thing
yeah
is
yeah
that like,
my kid does not have a sleepover with a grown man. I
but
guess.
but at the same time, like,
Oh my
if
gosh.
like if that person creates the illusion that, like, oh, the kid, there's a room for the kid where the kid stays,
Right. Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
like the kid, and like from my understanding, the way they kind of like illustrated it was like the kid was like basically in love with Michael, and Michael was in love with the kid, and like none of the things that they were doing were like, you know like forced, like it when they were going through all of this as children, they felt like it was just natural, like this is the way, you know they express their love for each other,
Right.
and so like, the kids, none of the kids unflinchingly like said, yeah, I want to stay here, I want to, like, hang out and blah blah blah, and work and play with Michael Jackson, and this and that. And like, the parents, I mean, obviously, and from according to the interviews, like the parents in the beginning resisted it,
Right.
but as the kids continued to, like, beg and plead to like let them stay, and hang out and do stuff, with Michael, you know after you develop a relationship with this person, and he seems all right, and he seems like, he genuinely has the best interests of the children at heart,
Mm-hmm.
you know then you kind of start lowering your guard.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
wait, it's 4 hours,
4
right, of a
hours.
documentary.
4 hours in 2 parts.
Man, isn't that too long to say basically that he fondled kids and
Like I
whatnot?
said,
I
it was
mean,
the
what?
documentary is
That's
mostly
long.
about the kid, the two
Yeah,
victims,
yeah.
and like it starts off with them kind of explaining like their childhood, and the second half goes into their adulthood, and how they kind of reconciled their experience,
Wow. Ugh.
and like, how it
Jeez.
manifested in like anxiety,
Right.
and like at the in the and like, how like, Michael Jackson, like, like really kind of showered these kids with attention, but then after a while it petered out, and next thing you know, he's got a new kid,
Yeah. Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin, and
Oh, dude.
and
But then didn't
this,
Macaulay Culkin come out and say that nothing happened
right,
ever type of thing?
and that could very well be,
Right.
You know, I
yeah.
mean, Macaulay Culkin, I think, was very different from a lot of these other kids in the sense that, like, you know, a lot of these kids were not the kind of celebrity that
Yeah.
Macaulay
So
Culkin
you don't fuck
was.
with a celebrity because he's got power a little
He's
bit,
got some power. He
and he's
probably has parents that are very, like, you
yeah,
know, like
sure,
much more.
Hollywood parents maybe
Yeah.
too, right?
Right.
And so he might have victimized some victimable kids. Like,
Right.
oh, we got one from the Outback.
Yeah, yeah. We got this one kid is he
Oh
lives
man.
in one kid lives in Simi Valley, you
Right.
know,
Oh
does
man.
commercials. Another kid is from Australia and he just dances. You
Right.
know, but Macaulay
Dog.
Culkin, he's Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
You
Big
know,
dog. Don't
he
fuck with
knows
him.
how to take down, like, you know, the what was his name? He's the actor. He was in like Casino and Goodfellas.
I don't know. Robert De Niro.
Not Robert De Niro.
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci. Yeah, he knows how to like take down Joe Pesci.
Oh yeah, that's true. Home Alone. Yeah, all by himself. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so you know,
And he's got like 4 brothers too that can just step right in.
right. Wait, what?
Macaulay Culkin, he's got like 4 brothers that look just like him.
Oh,
You
really?
didn't know they're all actors.
I had no
They're
idea.
like 4 or 3 more or 4 more that just as soon as he got old, another one took his place.
Wow.
I mean, not exactly, but yeah, no, they all look like him, and no, there's a whole bunch that just went in a rotation.
I
As
had
they
no
got
idea.
older, a younger one stepped up, and then that guy got old, and another one stepped up, and
Wow.
yeah.
But none of them were
One-
quite Macaulay.
no, but one's still acting. He's on the show, so they're still around, but not
Okay.
him.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
Macaulay Culkin still does acting. You know,
Yeah.
I saw him recently on like Joe Rogan's podcast.
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
As you can, if you are listening to this, you probably think all I do is listen to Joe Rogan.
I know.
But like, you know, yeah, I am a big fan.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think that you know, it like it that documentary just kind of like really like just made me go, oh man.
Wow.
You know,
Well, I guess I
like-
got to watch it. But
Yeah,
I'm kind of afraid.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, but-
Yeah.
and it's really well done, and,
Yeah.
and all I can say is those drone shots they do of all the different areas are really great. Like they
Wow.
do a lot of drone shots of like Los Angeles and Simi Valley and Australia and like, you know, in Paris when like Michael Jackson when they were out in
Right,
Paris,
right.
you know, and I was just like, wow, those are some beautiful drone shots. Like I love drone shots.
Sure, no, they're cool. And then in reality, they were just like, like it's like, oh man, they're awful.
Yeah, they sound
They
awful, but
suck.
man, they get some gorgeous,
Yeah.
gorgeous
I
cam shots.
know.
Actually, that reminds me of a podcast that
so
video cast that I watched called ADV China. It's all about it's just about these two vloggers on YouTube who lived in China, and they would get like these crazy drone shots of like Shenzhen and like
Wow.
other like areas of China, and like because in China they don't have the restrictions that we have here in America.
Wild West or Wild East or
Wild
whatever you
East,
want to call it.
yeah, because if you're going to get a drone here, you need to get a license, an aviator's license, and then you like have to get permits to like take your drone over like Hollywood Boulevard, or because if you're anywhere near LAX, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But like over there in China, boom, you get your drone like zipping between skyscrapers,
it's all
and
good.
stuff. So,
Yeah.
but like I if I was, I wouldn't would. I mean, you don't have any drones.
I don't have a drone, no. But
Yeah.
once in a while, like I've been on my roof here, like cleaning leaves off of the roof, and I look up, I'm like, there's a drone looking at me. Seriously, I've seen it where I'm like, there's a drone. So I've seen it more than once where a drone is just like, I'm like looking, oh,
Just hanging out in your neighborhood.
Yep, looking right at me or at somebody. But one time I waved at the drone, and the person who was piloting that drone
was like, oh shit.
No, they somehow, I forgot how that drone sort of acknowledged that I was looking at him. I think the drone kind of came down a little bit lower, and it was looking at me because I was waving at it.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, the person probably can watch it, and was like, oh, I'm just gonna say hi to
say
this
hi.
guy. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I was just like, that's all good.
No, I like drones. I think that
Yeah.
they
They're neat.
create the kind of images that we are now seeing.
Well, it's also like democratized it, right? It used to be impossible. You needed a helicopter to get these shots,
Right, or crane shot
And
now.
now you
in,
could
in
buy
rooms.
like a cheaper drone. You could do it with $100 drone, right?
Mhm,
And get an HD video and better drone, better shot, I guess. But you could still do it cheaply.
Right.
Yeah, and you could have that shot in your film or whatnot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like before, it was
yeah.
like, no, you need a helicopter for that shot.
Right. Yeah. We could get like a
know?
great like drone shot of like Los Angeles kind of swooping down to right here.
Yep.
To us,
Right.
and it wouldn't be like
No,
it's
not,
within.
not insane.
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
within reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
So wait, did you watch the Game of Thrones trailer?
I did. I did.
Wait, are you new to Game of Thrones?
I am.
You are, right?
I'm
Yeah,
fresh.
Yeah.
I'm fresh.
I'm an old pro.
Yeah, but you were watching when everybody else was watching, and I decided to come in at the end just so
Are
I
you
didn't
okay
have to
with
deal
that?
with the hang of the crazy
Do you like it?
cliffhangers. Oh, I loved it.
Okay. Wait, are you caught up?
I'm caught up.
Oh my gosh! What the? Fuck? You went nuts.
Yeah, I
Wait,
I
how long?
started
A month ago or less. Maybe a month ago.
2 weeks ago. I was still on like season 5.
Wow.
And then once you are up into once you're up to the Red Wedding, you're just you're in.
So, who is your favorite character that living or who has died?
Whew.
Do you have one?
Well, I know. Like I was saying earlier, I really loved the arc of Jamie Lannister.
Right.
I thought that he had a very interesting arc because I thought he was despicable in the beginning.
Because he's hooked up with his sister.
Well, he also pushed the Stark kid, off out the window,
Right,
and stuff like that. But he kind of redeemed himself.
Sure.
I also obviously I liked the Arya Arya Stark.
Yep. She visited James Jean's house.
Yeah. Well,
And looked at his art and all this stuff.
Did she buy?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I saw pictures.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's an interesting looking character.
Yeah.
As a human being. She has she's
that's casting, man.
No, I don't. Is it because they picked her up when she was
she looked bizarre then.
No way.
Her
she just looked like a freaking white girl.
She looks like a battle angel Alita without any eye computer eye stuff. Her eyes are gigantic.
I guess so. I guess so.
She might as well have been Alita with. Is she Alita? She's not. Huh?
No, she's not.
If she was, they wouldn't have to do any of that weird eye stuff. she's good to go.
But her arc was
money.
really weird.
Yeah.
For a
she
long
started
time.
off as a child in that show, right?
Yeah. And I really liked her character all the way up until she got to the church with the God of No Faces.
Yeah, that weird.
And then I was just kind of oh, I don't know if I like you anymore.
She's this little sneaky little.
Yeah,
shit.
you're like a little the equivalent of a medieval ninja.
Yeah. That's cool, right? Yeah.
So I don't know. Obviously everyone loves Jon Snow. So I was
superhero, right?
Yeah,
he's the hero.
He's the hero.
Yeah.
Comes back from the dead.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm
Did you like
fan.
Stannis? Did you like Stannis?
I love Stannis.
Wait,
which one was Stannis?
Until he killed his own daughter.
No, I hated Stannis. I liked his number one, the guy.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah, with the fingers cut off.
But his funniest thing was for a while, jokingly, I kept saying Stannis was the best. I was saying that before his demise, right?
Right.
I was like, Stannis is the man. My cousin's saying, dude, Stannis is gonna die. They're gonna kill Stannis off, and I'm like, nah, man, Stannis is gonna ride this thing to the end, and he's the great general. He's a war general, right? He's like an expert war general. Anyway, and remember he helped them in the. Is it against the wildlings way up north? Remember?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That was that was an awesome move.
He rescues people and all that stuff, and then he had that one scene where he kind of talked to his daughter about how he loved his daughter. Mm-hmm. Remember that scene?
Yeah. Very tender moment right before he kills her.
Right. So at that moment, I was saying Stannis is the best, and then that happened. I'm like, dude, what have I been saying? Stannis is the man. Stannis is the dad of the year of Westeros, right?
Right.
Father of the year, Westeros, Stannis.
Right.
And then next episode, oh, you fucker. I was just jokingly backing this. Kind of the shittiest character, but
well, who also
anyway, I thought that was funny.
Aged kind of weird was the kid from the youngest living Stark, the one who lost his legs.
Sure, is Brandon? No, Brandon is that his
name?
Bran.
Brandon.
Oh
man, that kid aged weird.
Yeah,
but he got really skinny.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Is it only 6 episodes?
Or 7 episodes.
And,
Or,
and
but
that,
are they like all 2 hours
and
long
that's what
each?
I heard. I'm not sure, but I'm like, wow, that's like basically watching 7 movies,
Movies.
right?
Yeah.
To figure out the ending.
Yeah.
It's too bad it has to end, but I guess that's what happens.
That's
you know?
all good stories have to end. Like actually, I was
But
just
then
thinking.
the books aren't over though. Like I evidently he still has 2 more books to write or something like that.
Sure,
So,
and it's probably going to be
yeah.
a totally different ending.
It's got to be.
Well,
I'm sure he's not going to be dictated by
but
whatever's
yeah,
made
Hollywood.
Hollywood or whatnot.
Though he
you know?
probably is. I think he's co-writing the screenplays.
Oh, is he
right?
really?
Yeah, I think he's involved in the screenplays.
Right on.
But I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. Did you ever like watch Full Metal Alchemist?
Are we comparing this to like anime?
I am about
No,
to.
No, I never watched that.
Okay.
I know what it is. I know what it looks like anyway.
I
I
think
never
it's
watched it.
there. So there's 2 animes, right?
Oh, there is?
Yeah, there
Wow.
is the original anime, and then there's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Now, the difference between the two is the first one started off when the mangaka or the manga artist
Right.
like started, writing it, and then the anime just kind of took off on its own because
Right.
they didn't have enough original material from the manga, and they kind of went off in 2 totally different directions.
Yeah.
Brotherhood is a faithful retelling of the manga.
Wow. So they do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of what happens. Like like when anime studio gets really excited about a manga author's writing.
Yeah.
And they're only like 40 chapters into the the story. Most like anime. Like they're like 200, 300 chapter freaking,
Yeah.
stories, right?
So they actually went too fast or faster than they can be written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh,
so
that's
then they
cool.
just create their own material.
So you think
I
Game
think,
of Thrones will do that?
yeah, apparently Game of Thrones is doing that.
Right.
you
Oh, they
know?
went past it. I'm just wondering if they'll actually ever go back and. Oh wait. Did I hear that they're doing a prequel or some shit
Yeah,
anyway?
I heard about that
okay,
too.
so there's a lot going on there, man.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
coming up in a month or so.
Mm,
Game of Thrones.
Game of
a
Thrones.
big deal.
I am pretty excited about
Yeah,
that. Like,
Yeah. TV's nuts these days, man. There's so much. I think there's so much to consume, right?
yeah.
And
well,
we can't even do it.
you're
Like,
just saying that you finished watching the latest season of what True Crime,
True Detective.
True Detective.
It's the 3rd season of that, and I mean each season's different, but yeah, I just finished watching that.
See, I haven't seen any of it.
See,
I haven't even seen any of Westworld.
yeah, there's that. I mean, if you're into Mr. Robot, it's seeing that the dude won the Oscar for being Freddie Mercury, right?
Right,
he's
right.
Mr. Robot, or he's not Mr. Robot, but basically the show, Mr. Robot.
Is that still going?
Yeah, there's at least one more season.
Is he still in it?
Yeah, he's the star.
So he won. He like I watched the first season.
Yeah,
that's
that's the same dude.
And like I
And he's-
remember you mentioning that when we were seeing the Oscars, and like I didn't flinch, but like in my head I'm like, what?
Yeah,
That's
so
the
it's
same dude.
So imagine he wins an Oscar. Now he's got to go back to the show, or the show will happen. I mean, that show should blow up more because he's the Oscar winner now, right?
Right.
But it's weird because
I didn't even think he was that great in that movie.
I didn't even watch it. So
You still haven't seen it yet?
No, I did watch the side by side comparison.
Right.
Freddie Mercury's better.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I
just
mean, it's
kidding.
Freddie fucking Mercury, man.
I'm kidding. Of course, he's
You
better.
know.
I don't know, but I didn't watch the movie. No, not yet.
The movie's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie as a whole, the movie is entertaining, but I didn't think like the acting was so moving that I
Right.
was just like, oh, like actually, I was just talking to a friend about this, like I think it was last night. Like, there's only like 2 movies that I grew up with that where I thought like, yeah, this is the best film. It rightly won the Oscar for and those 2 movies are Amadeus, which
Wow.
I loved.
Wow. Okay, I remember that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I really loved Last Emperor too.
Wow, I
Yeah.
remember that too.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of movies that have won since then that I'm just like, okay, I didn't.
You mean Dances with Wolves?
Dances with Wolves is good.
Whatever.
Well, it was a good movie. I liked Dances with Wolves, but it didn't
I'm
like
just kidding.
But like it didn't. I don't know. I just actually there's these a lot of YouTube channels out there that like. I think there's a channel called History Buffs,
Right.
and where they kind of like go over like these movies that are attempting to be historical.
Oh yeah, that's tough, man.
And then they just kind of like go like, yeah, they got this right and they got this wrong,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But this is respectable because, you know, we could see what they're trying to do with it, blah blah blah, you know. And they went over Dances with Wolves, and I thought that was interesting, you know.
Did they?
Yeah.
Wow.
But like,
All right.
I don't know. But I also got back from
Chicago. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so
you went to Chicago for a show at Roto Fuji. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
And it happened.
yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
I was
How was
just
the
out
show?
there. The show was good. Like, you know, people showed up, and I basically spent the entire time like signing and talking to people.
Awesome.
So, you know, that was fun. And then I ate like way too fucking much. Like, it is I honestly, I think like of all the cities that I visited, one of the best culinary cities that I know of is Chicago.
Okay, so what did you eat?
Pizza.
Just pizza?
I had deep dish twice.
Wow.
Yeah, I had fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
Probably
okay.
one of the best fried chicken experiences I ever
Really?
had. At Honey Butter Fried Chicken.
Honey butter fried chicken.
Yeah, they
All right.
take fried chicken and they fucking throw on a pat of butter on that shit. Like
After it's fried? Or?
after it's
Wow.
fried.
Holy shit. Okay. And then what about the pizza?
Okay,
Is
I
it
went to
notable
Pequot.
places?
Oh yeah, I went to
Okay.
Pequot's.
Pequot's. I heard
Which
of that.
yeah, which they do like a kind of a deep dish pizza. It's a little bit different from classic Chicago style, and what they do is they take the cheese all the way to the edge and let it burn against the pans.
Ooh,
So it's like
yeah.
that burnt cheesy bit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was talking to the woman whom I was this family that I was staying with, and I was like, you know, you could just like make these trough trays and put a little piece of dough, some red sauce, and then just have cheese going all the way around it, and just let the cheese burn a little bit, and just sell these cheesy pizza sticks. You just make money. Just make this, you're baking money
Wow.
there.
So you ate pizza.
I ate pizza twice, and I walked away thinking to myself, I am not going to eat cheese for the next week, and I still haven't eaten cheese.
Wow.
It's only
Okay.
been a couple days, but like,
Okay.
and then I went to Gino's East for the second round of pizza, and I was very impressed by that as well because I've had Chicago style pizza like in California before, and it's great and everything. But the thing is that like what they do is they will take the dough and they'll put it all against the bottom of the pan, and then they'll push the dough up to the edges. So you have
It's like a pie.
yeah, it's like a pie.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then they'll hold down the cheese and the sauce and the toppings, and you know, it's great and everything. But then you get to the crust when you're eating this Californian style or, you know, Detroit Chicago style pizza, and it's just like tough, like almost like a cracker, and it's
Wow.
like fuck this, I'm not gonna eat
Okay.
this shit.
Right.
But over there, they obviously use a different kind of dough for the edge.
Because the edge is edible.
Yeah, it's flaky and crumbly. It's like it's obviously got a lot of shortening in it.
So it's not like a pie, though.
Oh, it's like a pie.
I
It
mean,
still
like a-
has that, like, you know, edge.
But you know, like a pie
base.
crust, though, is usually, I mean, if it's done right, it's kind of edible, flaky.
It's
and all
like a
that stuff.
pie. It's like a pie crust.
Closer to pie crust than
Like
a pizza crust.
yes.
Right. Okay.
And it's like, and I was, because I was eating with my friend Travis Lampy, who's another artist who has a show right now at
He
Corey
rocks.
Halberd. He's
Yeah, he
amazing.
rocks. Yeah.
He's one of my favorite, you
Yeah.
know, painters of my generation. And then I also and his daughter, and his daughter was like, "Oh yeah, this is the crust is my you know, favorite part of
Wow.
the pizza," and I'm like, "What are you fucking talking about, kid?" You know, and then I you know, I
Tried
dared to try it, and I was just like, "What?"
So what do you think of people who don't eat the crust on their pizza without even, I mean, you know, you ever see people who just automatically don't eat crust? Pizza crust?
I'm one of those people.
Oh, so you
sometimes.
usually pass on pizza crust.
Well, I mean, like, unless it's good. Like,
Right.
okay, you know, I
Well-
grew up in San Luis Obispo, and I went to school in San Luis Obispo, and they had a pizza place called Woodstock's Pizza.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the great thing about Woodstock's Pizza is they would like take the sauce and take it all the way edge, and they have the crust fold over it.
Wow.
So it was like, you know, a saucy, you know,
Right.
like, you know, it's like eating a breadstick with sauce,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but like the sauce is already inside the fucking
Yeah.
pizza,
Wow. Uh-huh.
and it is good.
So, but you don't appreciate just the crust by
Unless it's
itself.
really good. Like, you know, we last week we had, what was it? Delicious pizza.
Yeah.
From
Did
the
you eat that
Delicious
crust?
Vinyl. I ate the crust.
Okay, so I ate that crust.
Yeah, it was
people,
good.
Some people just automatically don't eat the crust.
Well, if I get Domino's, I'm
wait.
not going to eat the freaking crust.
Actually, Hunt's didn't eat the crust, right?
I didn't pay
I
attention
think
to
he didn't eat the
Hunt's.
crust. I don't think
Oh,
Hunt's Lou eats crust. That's what I'm saying.
Hunt's.
Some people don't eat crust no matter what.
You know,
Is that like I always trip out on that. I'm like, oh, is that like a thing? Like Southern Cal thing? Because some people
with
just
all
don't
these
bother.
crazy like
Right.
diet trends that people
Yeah.
are on out here, maybe like the non-pizza crust eating diet is kind of thing is the
I
thing.
feel like if you're
But-
gonna eat pizza, you need to eat the crust.
Well,
I mean, I guess Domino's you can pass, but
Right.
I feel like you know,
Pizza Hut, pass.
Yeah,
Papa John's, pass.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, sorry, like
but
like
I usually eat it though, no matter. Oh, I haven't had a Papa John's pizza in a long time.
I
but
actually,
I usually eat the crust almost. I would say no matter what, just about.
Wow.
If I can eat the pizza up to the crust, I finish the crust.
Well, like, okay, if there's like a ton
I-
of people
yeah.
eating the pizza, and there's only like, if I only get like a little bit of pizza from nothing, I eat the entire damn
But I
thing.
usually eat it out of respect of the pizza. Because
Mm.
I like pizza that much that I will eat the crust. But if it is bad, okay, I won't eat it. But for the most part, I will eat it. Even Domino's, I think I'll eat the crust.
Well, Domino's now have been trying to like,
it doesn't.
like,
You don't have to have cheese in the crust or anything. I could just eat the crust.
right, but like, well, Domino's has been doing stuff like buttering the crust up and adding
Right.
like seasonings and stuff like that, which I can respect.
I'm
like,
good plain, man.
Wow,
That's like the dessert after eating this pizza. I get to eat the crust. I'm always happy to eat the crust.
you're just a bigger purist than I am.
I don't know. I think I just like I like crust. I'm good with it.
I think that sometimes the crust can be a little dull.
If the crust sucks, I get it. Like if it's like fucking gonna choke me out, now I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do it. But
Like
no,
I'll be honest. Like whenever I'm with my mom and my sister and we get pizza, it's Domino's.
And
That's
you
just,
don't eat the crust.
and I'll eat the first slice, maybe the entire thing, but then like after that I'll get a little fatigued.
Wow.
So I am, then I'll just kind of focus on the cheese and the toppings and the
Sure.
sauce, but like, yeah, I mean, like, I respect, man. Like, I respect the fact that you will be able, you are a no waste kind of guy.
I'm trying to think the last time I've left crust, and I can't even remember.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I don't think I've ditched crust in the last decade or more. Like, I don't remember.
Oh,
It's that long. So yeah, no one has seen me ditch crust because I haven't done it.
damn.
Yeah,
Well,
but that doesn't mean I'm better than anybody. It just means I'm eating bad crust
no,
and good
you
crust.
you are better than everybody because of
No.
the fact that you're not wasting food, and actually that is one
It's
of the
not
things.
about that though. I just like the crust. I think.
Well, no, but
You know?
it is kind of about that because, like, I personally hate the food waste that I see in Southern California. I hate it.
Oh, tons.
Like, like I always to-go box
Yeah,
things.
and I eat that shit.
Yeah, fuck
I eat-
yeah.
Yeah, I eat
Dude, it's called fucking late night snack or like lunch,
Yeah.
like, or breakfast,
Yeah.
like fucking, I hate people who waste. Like, it's,
Sure.
and it's just kind of like a thing, here. It's like, oh, like taking a couple nibbles and I'm done. And it's just kind of, and it's just like, fuck
Yeah.
you, man.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
do you like realize like what you're doing here?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even just about people starving. It's about like the fact that like there's an entire like freaking line of production that's happening, and like, you're just not like fully like you're wasting your own money. You're fucking throwing away good food. You're fucking, unlike, I mean, like, if our scraps was like, what they do in like Las Vegas is they will take like all the leftover food and they will like either donate. I think they sell it for super cheap to like hog farmers.
Wow. Okay. And
You
the
know,
hogs will just
And the
fucking
hogs will
devour
eat.
that
Yeah,
stuff?
they will heat it all up so it's sterilized,
Right.
and the hogs will eat it.
Wow.
And like, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Especially like, you look at these buffets, right? Like, they can only
Oh,
keep the
dude.
food on the buffets for so
Yeah.
long before
Yeah.
they have to throw it away.
Yeah.
And so like they will show up by the truckload
Wow.
with like all this was a swill, like all this like leftover like food. And like, but unfortunately that doesn't happen everywhere.
No.
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 and-
It gets wasted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It gets thrown into a landfill, and then it just piles up, and they don't, and because like garbage needs oxygen to break down. When things are just piling up too fast, it just gets all sealed up, like in layers, and it's just, I don't know, like, we're fucking ourselves, and I hate that.
We need like what's that Star Wars trash monster thing? You know, trash compactor monster
Oh
guy.
yeah, we need one
That
of
would
those
be
guys.
awesome because that thing somehow can swim through layers of garbage that's like sharp and shit, and it's just
Yeah.
no problem.
Maybe it eats metal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, they could eat metal, they could eat cans, they could eat garbage. We
Well,
need that. It's
isn't
like, and
there?
it would aerate. It would aerate the garbage piles everywhere,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
What if it just released, frickin' like, good old oxygen,
Yeah, see, that's what I'm
oxygen and
saying.
nitrogen.
It'll create tunnels of like air pockets, and yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we don't have that though.
No,
so
we don't. We don't.
No.
But maybe one of these days.
Yeah. Was that thing supposed to be organic, by the way? Like,
Yes, because it had like this weird like
so
eyeball.
it wasn't made out of metal or anything.
No.
Yeah,
It had like
okay.
tentacles.
Yeah.
Remember, like
yeah, that's right. It had
mhm.
tentacles. Yeah, it was like a part octopus type of thing.
Yeah, that
and
was one of
snake.
my favorite figures from
Yeah. Yeah.
from back then because like I never grew up with a. Did you get a Death Star
No,
like toy?
No,
Like,
no. I had nothing good from Star Wars as a kid.
No,
I
yeah,
wish.
neither did I.
I
But
might have
like,
had a figure or two, but that's it. I didn't have anything more than that.
I had a couple of friends who were like, like their parents were getting divorced, which means they got the best toys.
Oh, yeah,
and,
I didn't get any Star Wars stuff, but I
yeah,
liked it. you
Yeah.
know?
Well,
Yeah.
the trash compactor in the Star Wars Death Star toy had like a figurized representation of the trash monster,
Wow.
which looked kind of like an octopus.
Oh, okay.
And that was the one figure that I always wished that I could have from the Kenner Star Wars line, but could never have because
When that thing, so in the movie, there was a hole that it left as the whole thing compacted.
yes,
It bailed out, right?
yeah, it bails.
Pieced out. Okay.
It knows like when like it's time to get out,
Right.
and
So, but did they purposely? Do you think that it was purposely made for that thing to exist in this trash compactor?
yes, I think it was probably designed to break down.
Garbage.
Like
Shit,
or
man.
bio bio garbage.
There's my ecological solution right there. Well, they thought of it in 1976 or whatever.
Well,
so there it is.
we
Yeah.
know what it's called here on Earth. It's called an invasive species.
Well, or it's called earthworms.
And there are earthworms. Yes. Actually, that would
Yeah.
be a great idea. Is instead of like burying things just on top of each other, we were able to bury it in like. Kind of like how we do with farming, okay, we like break the field up into quadrants and like we grow on this one and grow on these and then we shift it all,
Right.
like for 1 year to let that field recover and and whatever.
I think do they do that at garbage garbage piles?
I don't think so.
I was watching the news the other day and I was tripping me out because there was a couple in Los Angeles who basically murdered their baby.
Oh yes,
Right,
yep.
right.
And
So they
dumped
mur-
it in the
they-
freaking fast food
They dumped the baby, and then the baby went to a landfill,
Yeah.
and they're trying to find the baby.
Right.
Now they're trying to find the body
Right.
or the remains. And
How do they figure it out?
so I guess they could figure out, okay, this trash can went
No,
here.
but who spilled the beans on dumping the child?
Oh, I think they did. They're busted. They're like both of them are mother and father.
But
are in jail.
what did they tell their friend or something like?
I don't
like
know. I don't
yeah,
know.
I
I
was-
don't know. They
I-
might have just confessed to it. You know what I'm saying? Eventually with, police. I don't know. But nonetheless, have you seen the video of that where they're looking? They showed video and they're looking at a landfill, but it looks like flat dirt. Like there's no garbage. It just looks like flat dirt, and that's where they're at. And I'm like, where's the garbage? And the whole thing is, I'm wondering if the garbage is underground. First off, but it looked like a layer, like a gigantic. It looked like a desert. I was like, there's
Really?
I don't see any. I was like,
Because I
didn't
envision
yeah,
like
I didn't see any garbage. I
the
didn't see any beat up cars or like cans
fields
or
of garbage with
No.
like freaking seagulls hanging out all over the
it
place.
looked like sand to me, like they were walking in a desert. I'm like, I don't see any garbage. So meaning, I think it's so because they're still looking for this body, and I think it's already been a year that they're looking for. I heard they've been looking for this for a while. It's not like we just started. I think they've been looking, and they need to because this body was dumped like 2 years ago or something, right?
who the hell spilled the beans on them?
I
That's
have no
what I want to
idea.
know because like freaking like
I don't know.
like what were they just blabbing to the wrong people? Like, oh
I hope
yeah,
not.
I was just like I just got tired of it and I
Yeah.
just put it in the
I don't-
trash
I
at
have-
Walmart.
I don't know, but it's like a baby. But that sucks because like it the garbage is already buried, and like it looks like they have to dig up garbage from underground. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just so piled up, and then it already looks like it doesn't exist. Like it's covered up with dirt.
Oh.
So I'm like, dude, where's the? That's how the video
Oh.
showed me that I don't see any garbage. That it's been who knows where it
Wow.
is? You know what I'm saying? Like
I guess they have a way of processing trash
maybe.
to like
I think
get
it
it.
probably goes in quadrants, like you said. Like they'll put it here, they'll cover it up, and they'll go over there, cover it up, and then hopefully it decomposes some. And then they probably add more, and who knows, man? I'm
Mm.
sure there's some gnarly thing, like a system that's very professional, but ultimately it makes it hard to find a baby's body. You know what I'm saying? It became very tough because I saw the video and I'm like, dude, there's no garbage anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah,
just like even like having like like body sniffing, like like
dude, it's
decay
too
spitting
late.
dogs.
Too
Yeah,
late, man. There was
yeah,
just
yeah. That's like that thing's down to the bones by now. If it's
and
2 years,
I think it's like I feel like it's a year or two that it's that long ago, and then I'm like, dude, there's a billion tons of garbage on top of this body already, and they're I don't know, it's a needle in a haystack. We'll see if
oh
they find
no,
it.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, like you got, and then like I mean, like every like time I've seen like footage of like the LA like kind of or the Southern California kind of dumping sites, and it just looks like mountains of trash with tons of seagulls hanging out over it.
yeah,
That's what I kind of
wow,
envisioned when I heard about it, and
yeah.
kind of figured that like like that just would not be fun to go through.
No, I don't even know how they're gonna. I have no idea how they would do it.
Like
You know,
what I
you're
mean
gonna
like
need a tractor, and then you're gonna need people to like sift through it by hand.
right
There's
right
no
right.
like, there's no remote control little object that's
Yeah,
gonna
and then
go.
you're gonna find like
Yeah,
pork ribs and
fuck.
chicken
I think
bones
wasn't it
and
is that was it at a fast food place? I think where his body was dumped.
yeah, that's
Maybe.
what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
So
heard. I don't remember, or it
they're
was just
gonna.
it was either
Yeah.
a fast food place or it was a convenience like
It's
kind
just
of like
bad.
a
Yeah.
Walmart-ish kind
Yeah.
of thing.
But that's again just difficult to find.
Mm.
Needle in the haystack.
Well,
Sad.
I don't know. I mean, like,
Sadness. But then that's the quadrant system you're mentioning.
well, I mean, I guess what they're probably assuming is like, okay, trash is picked up from these trucks pick up trash from here and there here, and they drive them to there.
Yeah. It's
So
far too. I believe I remember. God, it was far because I think it was somewhere in like South Central-ish. I think is where the body was dumped,
okay.
and then I think it ends up like in like I forgot like San Dimas or something really far.
Where the fuck is San Dimas?
Not San Dimas. That's Raging Waters, but it's somewhere else.
Where the fuck is Raging Waters?
In San Dimas, dude.
Where the fuck is San Dimas?
Watch Bill and Ted. Somewhere in the Inland Empire. It's way out
Oh,
there.
okay,
But
okay.
it's like it gets dumped really far.
Yeah, I wasn't sure
It's
whether or not
it's nowhere
like,
near here. It's like way out there. It's like
Yeah.
it's like in Corona or something. Is like where the garbage dump is.
right. Do they dump like somewhere between like say
It's far, dude.
like do they dump in the desert? Do they
No.
dump in the like
I
like
don't know.
east of the IE?
It's
Like
where no, it's just somewhere.
the IE is the Inland Empire. if you didn't know.
Random place, but yeah, this is weird.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
scary.
All that's the thing about like like major metropolitan cities and stuff like that. Like when I was flying back, like I was I had the map going, to see like how far away I was from Los Angeles.
Sure.
And I had a window seat. I always like window seats. Are you a window
Sure.
seat guy or an aisle seat guy?
I like windows.
Yeah, I like the windows too.
Specifically the left side window, if I could be picky.
Oh yeah, the left side
Left
window's
side
the
window
best.
is the one I want. I don't want the
I
right
got a
side.
left side window when
Yeah.
I was flying back, and
Right.
I was just looking around and like looking at all the little like cities and towns dotted across at night. And I'm like, oh okay, oh that's whatever, that's Calexico and stuff like
Right.
that. And then like you get into Los Angeles, and it's just sprawl, like lights everywhere, and you're just like, holy shit,
We are giant.
But like managing the waste, right? Like the plumbing, water, waste, gas, electricity, like all of that shit is insane.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like it's mind-boggling to think like, how I mean, obviously it was built up one step at a time. That's the
Yeah.
only way you can do it.
Yeah, like over 100 years ago, right? That's
Yeah.
that infrastructure started
Right.
with probably shitty planning. It wasn't like other places. I think LA was probably poorly planned,
Oh yeah.
and it just kind of grew on top of itself,
Right,
and got
right.
wider and wider. And it's like every facility is not good enough, right? All the facilities just aren't. It's not enough.
Right. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
like, imagine how much waste we produce, including all the food everyone's fucking wasting at their hoity-toity restaurants.
Yeah, no, and just imagine all human waste versus and just like not able to collect water, like rainwater.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, we're in a drought. All the rainwater ends up in the ocean, right? It's
Right.
just dumped. We're not collecting it. We have not a great method of collecting it.
Right.
And but you say we're in a drought, right? So where's where's that? Like, how do you fix that?
Right.
And it's just the just getting started. You know, people are getting rain barrels and shit like that.
Yep.
And
Do you have a rain barrel?
I don't, but we have one of those things where it's like, I don't know, it collects rainwater underground to create some groundwater. I have that. I don't know what that's called, but a lot of places have to have this now. It's like a big ditch in front of your house, basically, and they fill it with gravel and stuff like that, and it collects groundwater.
Oh.
It's just to add groundwater from
Okay.
rain. You know, so like maybe some of your pipes around your house, it all dumps to this one, you know, the groundwater, and any overflow, okay, that leaves. Yeah, because you probably don't have it, but new construction has to have it, and I noticed like a lot of houses have they put this in the front yard.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like a new thing. You know, just like solar, that's an upcoming thing, right? Like someday everybody's gonna have solar, but dude, shouldn't we have had that like 30 years ago? I mean, solar panels existed a long time,
right? But
and it's like, where has it been? And only now? Like, fuck.
But
Like,
do you even know like how solar even works nowadays? Like, because I remember like
It's
in the
probably
80s,
different,
like in
But
the
it
80s,
existed.
it was kind of like designed to heat pipes that were, in the like attached to the ceiling. That way
Yeah.
you could have like warm water,
Right.
without having to rely on like whatever. But like, how does solar work now? Like, is it
Basically, it's so you can have electricity at your house, and if you have the battery thing, you can kind of circumvent your whatever
right like that?
Department of Water and Power. You don't your bill is going to get smaller. Basically, is
Right.
what it amounts to. And I think the solar game is ultimately is going to make maybe a power, like Department of Water Power or whatever it is, DWP or whatever, whatever company powers your city. They're gonna become out of just useless, basically.
It'll never become useless.
But that's the idea, though. It's fighting against it. It's the competition is solar to the power, right? Power system.
Right.
It's competition for sure.
Right.
And I'm sure that power is going to get involved in solar themselves, because I think it is.
Yeah,
like,
but is it? I mean, it's not
what I'm saying?
privately owned business, right? Or is it?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think
it's a federal kind of. It's
I
run by the state of California.
Probably, yeah.
Because
there's PG&E up north, right? And
Right.
then here is LADWP.
Right.
But I think solar is just going to be a competitor to it.
I hope so.
It's like it's just like an electric car versus the gas. All the gas companies are like, oh shit, there's going to be what do you call electric cars now, right?
But
what are we going to do? Like
but-
petroleum's going to be like a lesser used as for cars,
But I don't think
someday.
I think human beings right now. I mean, like the efficiency of our utility systems right now is not that particularly great.
Not only
And
you're
even like say solar, right? Like you can't like, I don't like. I mean, like if like it was literally capturing the rays of the sun and like transforming it into some kind of like, form of power that we can use. Like
that's the idea.
But that's not how it works.
Yeah, it does.
I don't
Why
think
not?
so. I don't think so.
There's because Tesla, for example, there's a battery, right?
Right.
That goes into your house,
Right.
And that the rays of the sun turn into electricity that goes into that battery, and that powers your house.
Well, okay.
And then when that battery runs out because you're using too much power, let's say, it goes back to then you're back to the wires of the city to power your house. It flips on and off, as you need it.
But how does it work? Like, I mean, like, okay.
Solar cells, bro.
But okay, like
I don't really.
You know what? Like
I don't know.
I always think that like nuclear power is one of the most like inefficient ways of using nuclear power, right? Like because what it's doing is turning it's heating water and turning turbines.
But it's like nonstop, right? Like nuclear power is like it'll outlive us for thousands of years. The amount of
Right.
power it generates,
Right.
for free. Like you know what I mean?
But like.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like it's lightning.
Yeah, I think so.
But like, what is radiation? Radiation is energy.
Yeah.
Why can't we harness radiation?
Whoa, we have thunder. Everybody.
Yeah, nice. It's been a rainy year here in Southern California.
yeah.
It rained like
Yeah.
while I was gone.
Wait, say that again. Why don't we have radiation?
Why haven't we been able to like capture and harness?
Oh, you mean per household?
Or
like you have a booger-sized thing of uranium that can power your house, right?
No.
Is that what you mean?
I mean, just saying,
that
like,
probably can happen.
like the radiation that comes off of a radioactive reaction. Like, why haven't we been able to find a way to harness that energy direct, rather than using heat to turn a
Oh.
freaking
Yeah, I don't know.
like
Bro, that's for the geniuses to figure out.
come on, geniuses.
I don't know.
We need you.
Right. I don't know. That's science, man. I
Because
don't know.
I'm imagining because my understanding of 80s era solar energy is that it was literally just heating water,
Right.
and is that what solar cells are doing now? Are they turning tiny little things to get store up that creating electrical power? Is that how it works?
I don't know.
I guess I'm gonna have to
But
watch a YouTube video
yeah.
later on tonight, but I honestly I don't think it's literally capturing rays of the sun and you are now electricity.
It powers a battery somehow, right? Somehow the rays of the sun can fill up a battery, right?
I don't think it's that simple, man.
Oh, I don't think it's that simple either. I'm sure, but there's something going on in those solar cells that are doing it. I don't know how.
I'm gonna.
I think maybe you're thinking too mechanically. Like wind spins this thing, and that captures energy, right?
Right.
Because something's spinning. Maybe there's something a little more abstract that this mechanical object can just get, rays of the sun.
I'm saying is if we can't use
UV,
nuclear power,
maybe it's UV light. That's. This UV light is now, somehow able to convert to electricity. I don't know. There are science people that are listening to this going, "You guys are buffoons and fucking idiots. Here's how it works." And it's like,
look,
one sentence,
I'm just a fucking painter, and you're a gallery owner and writer, and former director. So, oh, by the way, hey, how was the screening?
Oh, the movie screening was cool. Sunsets, it looked better. Frankly, I only saw the very ending because I didn't watch it. But from what I've seen, no, it looked good. People seemed to like it, and we had a fun question and answer period.
Oh, nice.
That made it fun.
Do you not like looking at your own work? Is it kind of like listening to your own podcast? Because I can honestly say I have not listened to a single episode of this.
Yeah, I haven't either. But I watched it online, and it was good. I think it's funny because I didn't watch it when it played, but it looked so much better than I remember, which was nice. But then ultimately, you look at something like that was made 22 years ago, right?
Right.
You unfortunately just see things that you wish you could fix because you're like, there's cringy moments where you're like, God, the acting in this part sucked, or even my cinematography stuff. I was like, okay, I shot this, and I'm like, I would do this different, or I would light this different, or I would have the camera from this vantage point different. I just see that too, and I just have to get over it. I have to be like, well, no, it's not happening, but at least it's done and it's nice. But you end up seeing that no matter what. Yeah, I'm like, I would have done this. I could have done this better. It's just typical, right? It's after 22 years, but ultimately, no, I'm good with it.
Well,
it's fine. It's all good, and I'm glad it happened. And now you can watch it at chopso.com, but it's a pay. It's not free.
Chopso. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Chopso, like chop.
So the name has been criticized a little bit, and but I don't know what it means. I think it's an odd name.
Well, is it being criticized for being kind of like Asian-y, like there's chopstick lettering to freaking?
There's people that are there's people on one side that might say, yeah, that's such a dumb name, and so like. Yeah, exactly. Chopso.
Chopso.
I don't know what it means, but yeah, it's on there. But it's like it's like an online. It's an online, like a Netflix. It's online. You pay for a subscription, and you could watch
indie films from all over the place.
Asian American.
So it is an Asian thing.
Oh yeah, it is. But part of it is that. How do I say it without not being mean, man? I mean, these aren't the greatest movies on earth type of thing. I mean, there's some good movies on there. There's probably some really bad movies on there. But are they ones that don't make Netflix? Maybe that's, like, what I'm saying? Or maybe they're ones that don't make Hulu or whatever. And
you know what they should do?
I don't know how else to explain what it is exactly. I mean, I heard some negative stuff. Like one person said, "Oh, this is where films go to die." Like I heard that, and I don't think that's exactly true because I think. You're allowed to put it on this, but you could if you are so badass, I think your movie can go to other places too. Like, I don't think it's exclusive.
See, like,
the
only way I could even imagine it really truly working is if they just had a YouTube channel, a monetized YouTube channel.
It could be that too. Maybe it's sort of like that. But I have a feeling like, is there a long game here maybe where they collect, like, it's not about the money that they make every month. It's about having this collection of shit, and then one day Netflix will go, hey, we want your 300 movies you got on there for our platform. We're going to buy you out. Here's $1 billion, by the way.
Right.
And maybe that's kind of the long game there, is that they want to build something.
Like a shitty Asian Criterion collection.
But then they can sell it. It's a package. It's all together. Like, we have all of these movies in one channel. You want to buy our channel for your Hulu and make, Hulu/Asian American film? You have everything, right? Maybe that's the long game there, but I'm not sure.
I can see that.
I mean, but there's a need for it, because there's a lot of films that aren't making it to. It's just like Asian American film festivals.
But the thing is that nobody wants to pay for anything anymore.
I know. That's the problem with it. Like, if it was free, it's different.
And that's the reason why, like, I can imagine
I agree.
a YouTube channel where all this stuff is collected and people just subscribe to that YouTube channel. It's monetized, so there's advertising, stitched across it.
Yeah, I agree.
They make money,
or maybe not make any money, because maybe you get.
And even the director can get like a percentage of the advertising revenue that they make.
It might be like, less than pennies, though. Who knows? Because I don't think you're gonna get 1 million views, man.
Man. But like, imagine getting that 25-cent check.
Yeah, that's what That's what I'm saying. It's basically that. So it is what it is, man. But I mean, there is a need for an Asian American film festival. So why not an Asian American channel? I suppose, because the films at the film festival, I hate to say, some are amazing, a lot of them are not. And then they basically, they are done once they
but
show.
a subscription basis
That's
is
the hardest part, man.
Yeah, you're not going to, there's no way. I mean, like, you're my friend, and I don't, like, and I'm curious about your movie, but I'm not going to pay them to watch that thing.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sorry.
showed for free live, so, I mean, it is what it is. But I was happy it showed. So anyways, there you go.
Yeah.
That's my movie-making career right there.
Yeah.
Boom.
Do you ever think about it? Do you ever think, like, no?
That question came up, and then I did answer saying I would do it if it's just me and maybe one person, like an actor, and that's it. Like, I don't want to deal with like a crew and like a lighting guy and all this stuff. Like, it has to be so minimal, and maybe I can bear with it. But I couldn't do it where it's like, 6 actors and you got to deal with like best boy, grip, a truck.
What's a best boy?
I don't know. Like,
you know what a best boy?
I don't know, actually. Like, probably a person who helps out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I don't want to. Yeah, that's.
This made me think of Leaving Neverland again.
Yeah,
you're my best boy.
Oh. Did he say that?
No.
Oh, jeez.
But like, he was calling, like, they had weird nicknames for each other, like Applehead and
Apple Bottom.
Yeah. No. That was a great, like, little moment in Japanese freaking advertising, whatever. Was that the Apple Pen thing?
Oh, I don't know. I was talking about like Bonita Applebaum, whatever. The little
I was thinking
Quest song.
Oh, I was thinking of that weird like song where like they were talking about pineapples and pens and like this guy was putting like pens and apples and pineapples and weird shit like that. No, it was like a dumb song and like all these people were doing it.
Oh wow!
And I was just like, and they had a dance and
weird. No.
So
I missed it. I missed out.
Yeah, well, it didn't really like change anything. So
okay,
the world kept spinning. Yeah. People like it's like most memes. So I don't know. What can you do?
Yeah.
What can you do? Where are we at right now?
Where are we at? We're at 1:30.
Oh wow. Okay, well, let's
cruising right along.
Yeah.
So that's one thing about our podcast I notice is that time flies, man.
Yeah.
And we don't really know until we now have a little bit of a timer. We can figure out how long. But if we don't have a timer, I feel like we're at 45, and we're actually double 45.
Right. No, time just. I have no idea. Like I'm like, okay, we could be like 2 hours in. We could be an hour in.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's 45, but it's actually 1.5. So holy moly, holy smokes,
freaking moly.
So one thing I thought was interesting too is that we're into I think we're into cool stuff, actually.
Sure.
Okay, so Tom Frank, who's a guy I interviewed for Giant Robot, number 11. The cover of 11 was the Jumbo Machinders, right?
Yes. I bought that. I still have the original issue that I bought that.
So Tom Frank lives in Southern California. I think he does comedy, and I think he does screenwriting and stuff like that. But he is probably, at least in America, the foremost collector of Jumbo Machinders. These are the 24-inch Japanese robot toys made out of plastic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like
they were all like
maybe from late 70s all the way to 80s, I suppose, right?
They use the same technology, from what I understand, where they make shampoo bottles,
Gotcha.
to
There's some
do the
similarities there.
limbs. Yeah,
Yeah,
like the
but
plastic is that weird kind of softish, but
yeah,
not like sofubi soft kind
yeah,
of thin plastic,
yeah.
and
And it has like, I don't know how you call it, but there's like a seam on it or something, right? You can see
yeah,
the seams,
you can see the
and that's what makes me
seams.
think of an old shampoo bottle. The
Mm-hmm.
bottom of a shampoo bottle has
Oh
some
yeah, where
weird
they
seams.
pinch it at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see. I think those are on there. But I remember in that story, he bought a jumbo machinder, and I forgot the amount. I feel like it was $18,000 or maybe $20,000, and I was like,
$20,000,
and we're talking
man.
like, what year is that? That's like maybe
90
2000s,
something.
2000s or early middle 2000s or something, or maybe it's 2000.
No, man.
Okay,
Like that sounds like, I think that, I mean, what, you started your
okay,
magazine in 1990 something, right?
94. So okay, but in the 90s, he
90s.
bought one from Japan, and it was one of those things where maybe there was. I think he knew of
Well,
three existing. It's like three of these exist.
we should explain something about like jumbo
Yeah.
machinders first,
Sure.
right? For those who don't know.
Well, I mentioned it's a 24-inch robot.
Yeah,
but
24-inch robot made out of plastic, usually of like 1970s era,
Sure,
like
maybe 80s, a little
some
bit, yeah.
80s, like
Because they did a Gundam one too. I know.
they did a Gundam one.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Oh,
I
okay.
think that exists.
But
so.
they were highly collectible now in the
Yeah.
aftermarket.
Just
now.
because they're also display wise, they're beautiful, man. 2 foot tall plastic robot.
Oh yeah, and they're
You know,
really
and
colorful
and vintage. I mean, kind of
yeah.
got a retro look to it.
Yeah,
That's just so cool.
No, they are
Yeah,
cool. They are
yeah.
super cool. And
Yeah.
like, they like, if you had like, like, and especially like those 1970s and 80s era freaking super robots, like they just had like a really great look about them.
Yeah.
They weren't too complicated, like
Yeah.
what you see nowadays. But like,
No,
like all the Gonagai, like Mazinger kind of,
Mazinger Z and-
yeah, like
yeah.
the Doublos, and like that's the two-headed like dragony looking one,
Right.
and like those, like all those robots were great, and they translated like beautifully.
Yeah.
As
I mean, but as a kid, imagine you have a 2 foot tall toy.
I know it's almost as tall as you are at the
Very
time.
cool, right?
It's
It's just so cool.
and it shot rockets.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and but like but as so like obviously a lot of kids grow up, and then like suddenly they realize that something's missing in their lives, and it's jumbo machinders.
Yep.
And
So Tom Frank, I think he must have over 100 pieces, perhaps.
I can't believe that many got made. Like I can honestly only think of maybe like 6 that
No, there's
like growing that I grew up with.
yeah.
Around.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
But there's so many more, and some of them were made in other countries,
Right.
because they actually had the animation and they created their own.
Right,
It's
like
wild. It's
like
whoa.
Golderock.
Golderock.
Golderock is the Italian version of Grendizer.
Yeah, and there's like their own toys, I believe, that are just like made in Europe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And then Latin America also had like its own thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's like a big like whatchamacallit, like Latin American like weird bootleg jumbo machinder kind of like thing too.
I'm glad it exists. But so Tom Frank posted just the other day on Facebook that he showed a picture of another one of that same. I don't even know what the name of it is.
Because you were saying, I think we were saying like there's only like 3 or 4 known
I think
to
at the
exist.
time, at the time, maybe when I interviewed him, there was 2 or 3. One was his. One was at a museum. Was it a Bandai museum?
Okay.
And he said that it's there, and he said that he sees it there, like it exists there. And I think maybe those are the only 2. And then he posted that one just was sold, I don't know, in Japan, and it was $50,000, the equivalent of $50,000. And then someone asked him a question: "Is this the 4th one?" And he said, "No, this is the 6th one." So that means a few more have come up, but. I mean, in the 90s when I interviewed him, there might have been 2 or something. And it's like, wow, how can this toy be that scarce? So there are only 2, but now there's 6.
But like,
still, that's so little. I mean,
yeah,
you're talking about molds, plastics. I mean, all this stuff made. How can there only be 6 still in existence? You would think,
what I'm impressed by is that like he still obviously keeps up with this.
Dude, he's the man. He's the expert.
Yeah, but like like once like for me like once I get it, my hands on the thing that I'm like looking for, or I'm curious about, I just kind of like, all right, I got it. Peace.
I guess for him, this is like art. There's no end. It just keeps going until he's done. You know, like he's
Well, I mean,
dead.
they're still making occasional jumbo
Yeah.
Machinders.
Yeah, but I think his are just. I mean, his are of an era. I don't know if he's
Like,
buying any new
you know,
shit.
like
but,
they just re-released the Godzilla one, you know,
oh, did they really?
like a couple years ago.
Holy smokes.
Like, you know, they made a remold, I think, of the Godzilla one. I saw it at like a convention, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
like maybe Super 7 or something like that was
Right.
doing that
Right.
kind of
Right. Right.
thing. Like yeah, there's like certain like toy like for those of you who know me, like I collect a lot of like Japanese super robot toys because they're just gorgeous to look at. They fill a DTOF up beautifully. You know, DTOFs are the IKEA display cases.
That's cheap.
Yeah, they're
Like
cheap. They're like
$50 or
$50,
something,
$60 for
maybe?
like this great mostly glass like display case that goes from like,
That's
you know,
kind of a hassle to put together.
oh,
but I mean,
they're a pain. If
right?
it helps if you have another person helping
Yeah,
you.
sure.
You
Yeah.
know, but like, you know, you pile them up like next to each other. It's like a big wall of glass
Sure.
display cases. I have all my Gundam models and like all my like Chogokin toys like on display in them. But like, you know, so like, but those Jumbo Machinders are a line of toys that I will not touch. I refuse to get close to because they're $50,000.
Well, that's for one of the rarest ones on Earth type of thing.
And, you know, if I was collecting that shit, I would fucking want that.
But that means there are probably more, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like
right.
in an attic in Japan. I don't think these came stateside.
Or in a landfill.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know.
back to the landfills. You
You know, I'm sure, well, Japan has
dig that shit
well,
up.
you know what? Japan burns their trash, some
That's
of their
true.
trash too. So it
Yeah.
might have all been burnt.
Yeah.
Well, do they? They don't burn
I
plastics.
have no idea. It might have been recycled. That's Japan. They recycle shit.
Yeah, Japan.
Yeah, it could be. But man, part of the joke is this, you know, that whole Mary Kondo? Is this did this get condoed? But you know, just then I thought about it and I'm like, dude, Japan's been condoing for decades.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like all of a sudden in America it's like new. It's like, oh, we better pare down. You know, it's like, no, Japan only pares down.
You
and that's
know-
why this shit doesn't exist.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
pared it down
yeah.
for so long that this toy is that rare.
Do you know the name
know?
of the figure or the toy offhand?
No, I don't.
No,
Yeah,
I wanna, what's his Twitter again?
Oh, look. Yeah, his name is Tom Frank.
Tom Frank. And does like he have like, or does he go under a weird name?
No, I
under
think it's just Tom Frank.
Tom Frank.
Yeah, yeah.
Tom.
But yeah, but it's just one of those things that I think is so fascinating that you know, there's this kid who we're adults now, but he lives in Southern California, and he's like the foremost collector of this, and is
Yeah,
you know.
I have no idea. Is
and
he
Frank,
on Twitter?
Frank is FRANCK.
CK.
Yeah,
What type of crazy shit is that?
French maybe.
Tom
I mean,
Frank.
yeah.
Down the rabbit hole. I don't think that's him.
Could be.
No, I'm just looking. It's nothing. Well, I mean, like maybe it's him, but like I don't see any Jumbo Machinders or anything like that.
Oh.
You know? Wait. Oh, maybe. What? No. What?
Yeah, could be.
Drawing
sure.
drawing a golden soldier from Hellboy movie.
Could
it's
be.
harder than you think.
I wouldn't doubt it because I think he's into art and whatnot. So
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
Anyways, but you know, and another thing that's really crazy to buy is those old pulpy freaking Chogokins.
So we do have an image of it, and I don't know how to explain it. It's got a skull head.
that looks
with a-
incomplete.
Well, it's not. He said it's not in mint condition. It's technically a broken
Yeah, it's
specimen
supposed
and
to
junk.
have two blade things.
Oh,
that
so you know what this figure is?
Yeah.
Oh, because you know what, they remade this figure. They remade it. 10 years ago, probably. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
as
He's the companion to Douglas. God, what
so
was?
you know what it is? Okay.
Yeah,
my bad.
I'm
don't
I'm
know.
that kind of freaking nerd.
Yeah.
Let me. I could have sworn that I saw that in actually you know who's a real big fan of all that stuff is Tim Biscup, and it reminds me
maybe
of
he
like
knows, you know.
a Tim Biscup kind of thing. I know what it is. Let me think. But
But just one of those things that I don't know the name. It's just it's one of those things that I couldn't tell you, but I just think it's nuts.
yeah, it's it looks like this guy on the left.
It could be. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
What's his
Yeah.
name? It's in Japanese.
Oh, but nonetheless, skull head, green. It's got a red chest. It's got some kind of big circle in the middle that maybe it shoots a missile out of, and he's got green wristbands, green calves, black shoes.
Oh, it's Garada. It's probably Garada K7.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. Yes, now that you say the name, I remember from the interview.
Uh-huh.
Garada K7. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a
Garada, Garada,
yeah,
K7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it is. I remember it from way back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things that I mean, toys are just like vintage toys.
Well,
There's an archaeological element to it, right? Like
yes.
there I don't know if there's a book that's the definitive book that the Popey, let's say, which is a toy company from way back,
Yep.
wrote. I
That
don't think so. So
that
it's like
Bandai picked up, and
yeah,
yep,
but I'm sure like what is the exact history of this toy? Like is it ever spelled out? And probably not. Like most of the histories are now written by the collectors, right?
right.
It's all like word of mouth, and like he says that there's 6 of them out there. I mean, maybe there's somebody who worked at Bandai, like an old man who's like, I got 8 of these in my garage right now.
Well, here's the
but
thing: is that
I don't
like
know,
Garada K7 is a villain robot.
Yeah, less villains made.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Villains.
Because everyone wants the heroes.
Yeah.
And any female character, there's always less made, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
In toys.
Yep.
In
Yep.
general, that's why like Robocon, which is a big one. There's a female character.
Right.
I forgot her name, but she's like a ballerina, and the die cast of that toy is just way more scarce and expensive. Same as the Pink Ranger.
I actually have a diecast of the ballerina robot girl, and because Robocon is kind of dope.
Robocon is interesting because the Chogokin, the metal versions, they're just so cool.
And I don't have the PS. I do not have like the vintage ones. I just have like this.
Oh, okay.
I
have a few
ones.
vintage Robocon robots, but they're just cool because those are like really cartoony,
right? It
right?
kind
they're
of
kind of cute and kind of funny and whimsical, I would say. But in metal form, like having an actual metal toy of it is really weird and amazing.
Well,
because that's just like a weird,
it reminds me of like that old children's show. It was really psychedelic, kind of like was made in the 1970s. It had like that kid with like the mushroom kind of cut hair, and he's like hanging out with like these really weird
Bobby Brady.
No.
HR Puffin stuff.
Yeah, it reminds me of HR Puffin stuff, but in Japan.
Yeah, there's just weird robots that are like people in rubber robot suits, basically. But it's like kind of meant to be a little bit cute and funny.
Yeah,
it's different for a different audience. It's not meant to be serious, like robots flying around destroying cities and shit. No, this is more like cute, kind of solving daily problems and stuff.
I never actually watched an episode of Robocon. I've always wanted to watch
it on YouTube, probably.
No,
if you
no,
want.
I was looking. I've been looking.
So there was a thing. Like I used to go to Japan a lot, and I used to kind of like think every time I go to Japan, I'm gonna go to these shops because I like looking at them anyway, and I'll buy one item, just one, on a trip, and I'll bring that one thing back, and that's all I add to my collection. I'm not going to buy 20 things. I'm just going to get one.
Right.
If it's special, like a Robocon item.
Right.
And I stopped a long time ago, but because it just got harder and harder and more expensive.
Yeah.
But just Robocon's one of those ones that it's like lifetime. I wouldn't mind adding to my collection of Robocon to this day. You know, I would still do it. Yeah. But
okay, I'll keep that in mind.
But up to a limit. I mean, I want the vintage ones, obviously. Like I don't want the new ones.
Yeah.
But up to a certain point, I would pay, but like I don't need a mint condition anything anymore. Like that was a thing at the past. Like, I used to want that. I'm okay with just a representation of it, so it can be beat up. It just shows that it was loved and played with. So I'm totally like, I somehow learned to enjoy a vintage toy in its vintage, like with a vintage
it's
patina, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
I kind of learned to like that, and I enjoy it more when it's like.
I mean, that's the great thing about like those old Japanese toys too is like they went to metal because, from what I understand, of a petroleum shortage.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah. Because plastics are made from petroleum.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we don't burn it in a car, digging up oil, we do need to dig up oil just to turn it into plastics.
Sure.
But the thing is, of course, the plastics are killing us too. So what can you do?
Yeah.
But
smelling those vinyl toys are so cool.
Oh my gosh. Well,
that smell is amazing.
That's at the toy show. Like when I the first time, I obviously that new toy smell is great. But like I remember when I went to last year when I was at Shanghai for the Shanghai Toy Show. As soon as you walk into the convention center, it just smells of new toy. You're like,
wow.
Whoa.
Well, what about vintage toy smell though? It's also like the
vinyl. It smells like dust.
No,
it smells like
good.
Dust and maybe a little fungus, man.
When I ever bought a vinyl, like any vinyl like Sofubi, toy, no, first thing I do is smell it. But I mean, like, smell is amazing.
Well, the plastics have that, like, it's almost kind of like a pharmaceutical kind of smell, right? Like, you kind of like just smell that plastic.
Yeah.
You're like,
so you go into you can actually make a smell into You know.
Oh,
Kinda.
yeah.
So what if you go into like a porn convention? Do you just smell vagina?
I imagine so.
Okay.
Well, okay.
I've never been to one, so
This
I
is
don't know.
talking
Actually,
about smells. Like I have never really personally noticed an
toy smell?
odor
Oh,
on
okay.
like my own ejaculant.
Right.
But like the thing is that like I remember going to the Lusty Lady in San Francisco.
Wait, is this one of those? Is it in Panhandle?
I think so.
I think I can't. Or is it North Beach? North Beach had a bunch. Too.
It was one of the places
don't
with a lot
remember.
of strip clubs, and it
Yeah.
was one of the ones where like there's a lot you walk in and there's a lot of doors lined up to it.
I think I have a funny story too, but not that funny.
Well, okay, well I'll go.
Mine's a one sentence long.
Okay, well, I remember going into a booth, and
no.
like, and like I was like, and I put the quarter in and I smell the air and I'm like, what the fuck is that smell?
No.
And there's like a trash can with a whole bunch of used Ripken napkins in there, and I was just like, oh my god, oh my god, and so now I definitely know like, what male ejaculant smells like.
I just went with somebody else, and we were walking. I forgot. Like we were walking by, and he went in, and then he came out and goes, "Just walk in there and smell, and then come back out." And I was like, "I'm not doing that." But that's all. I remember he said that. And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing that."
Oh,
Yeah, I think it was one of those kind of places, with like same thing, booths.
yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
"Fuck no, I'm not doing this."
Well, human
Anyway.
beings just smell.
Oh yeah,
Like I actually,
I just don't want to smell that.
right.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, like I remember like a long time ago. It was in like when I was in, still in school at college, and I was just kind of like, I was hanging out with a bunch of my friends and studying for finals, and like the group that I was hanging out with was like the group that I kind of like considered like the beautiful people because they were like really great looking people,
Right.
like and like but like just like hanging out, and I with breathing in, I just noticed like, man, human beings, even if they're beautiful, smell.
Oh sure.
And like, so for a little while I went on like, like kind of like a cologne thing because I thought that like maybe I needed that too. But then like, I quickly realized, soon learned, actually kind of like not that long ago, maybe about even upwards to 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that certain Asians just do not have the apocrine glands that produce that fucking bad odor.
I don't think I do.
I definitely don't.
I'm thankful I don't.
Yeah, you could tell
some do.
usually in the ear with the kind of the texture of your earwax.
Oh, dude, I want to give you a high five for that. Okay, so I didn't know this, but recently, I'm not. I don't want to out people, but but an artist told me that person's earwax is moist.
Ooh.
And that means they said that they have that gland that creates smelly
the
like
BO,
BO,
yeah.
right? And I was like, that's correlated?
Oh.
And I didn't know that. And this is recent. This is within the last year, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then but is that in all people?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like if you have a flaky kind of dry earwax,
Yes.
then
Yes, me.
that's what I have. Like I think like that's the reason why like like you see like Asian earwax cleaners. They're just like little like scoops that you use to like kind of pull out.
You don't have to explain it to me. I use that shit every day.
I'm explaining to the audience
I'm
too.
an earwax master. Yes.
We can't just use like a Q-tip to just simply clean it out. It doesn't work that way for us because it's kind of dry.
Sure,
and,
it's dry, crusty, and stuck.
Yeah,
and sometimes it's weird. I've had it where like I feel like the inside of my ear is sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened, and that means there's some damage going on, like something bad.
Oh.
Like not bad, but meaning something's wrong. Because I'm like, why is it like one side of my ear feel wet inside my
Right.
ear?
Actually, I've had that experience too, especially like when I get sick or something like that.
Ultimately, that leads to the gnarliest dry earwax. Like 2 days later, you're gonna have like I don't know, man. It's like ice crystals worth of earwax just ready to go. And it's amazing. I'm like, wow, that's what that led
Have
to.
you ever just like walked around and suddenly you hear this weird like echoey sound in your ear?
It's
and
a
then
crunch,
just,
man. It's a
and
crunch.
you,
It's in there.
you hit left, and you just tap like the side of your head, and then you see like and then like on the ground there's a big old piece of earwax.
So if you wear the wrong, well, you're wearing a black hoodie, perfect. One time, it came out and it was just sitting there. And somebody, like, girlfriend pointed out, like, I was like trying to clean my ear. I'm like, there's nothing. And she was like, what the fuck's that? And I was like, that is an earwax that came out of my ear that I didn't know. It just came out. So, yeah, man.
So cologne
it's
is
very
just not one of those things that really works for us, because it really kind of complements like people with like developed apocrine glands, and since we
It's gnarly.
don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's
I guess. I mean, I would always worry about it anyway, somewhat, but nah. For the most part.
Well, did you ever wear deodorant when you were young?
No.
No, neither did I.
Should have, but I should, but I guess I never have.
No, you don't. You don't need to.
I guess not. But
because you know what? I mean, like from my understanding, deodorant like has like some sort of mineral that's like is designed to plug those glands up.
Shit, what is that mineral?
I don't. It's like a metal kind of thing. I don't remember what that's. I mean, like I could be wrong. Like I am not a scientist.
It's gold.
Rub the gold in.
Yeah. But it's interesting. But have you ever in Japan? Have you ever gone to like a store? That's a big store, not a tiny one, but a bigger store, and look at the earwax picking area.
No.
So they have like I believe. So I went a while ago, and it's since I remember it's smaller, but I went to like like a healthcare, like self-care, healthcare type of section. Maybe it was in a department store, and the earwax thing area was ginormous.
Really?
Like every kind of picker you could imagine for dry earwax, and it was like huge. Like there might have been 50 different kinds of earwax pickers that you could choose from. Like a huge section. I was like, usually I'm used to seeing like one or two. There was like 50. Like it was a whole section, all different kinds, shapes, sizes, different. Some look like some of them were funky looking. Like it looked like a curly Q metal. Like you put this metal curly. Like a curly Q thing that you put in there, and you work on it that way. But no, it's a very serious industry, I guess. Earwax cleaning in Japan, because the dry earwax maybe is more prevalent.
Well, okay.
I'm not
have
sure
you seen these apparently on this thing? Okay.
No.
Now, according from my understanding, now I'm could be completely wrong here, but like the punchline I would just say is the weirdest one, and I know this one's completely correct. And that's like if you look at like say where they kind of look at like Japan and China, they'll say like only 30% of the population in this country, or maybe 40% in that country, and as you go further south toward like the Philippines or Thailand, it's like 60% like have apocrine glands, and like whatever, but then like you go to Korea, 100% people do not have apocrine glands.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, that seems kind of weird. Like 100%. Like
what?
Really?
You saw that?
Yeah, I saw that statistic. It is a when I saw that, I'm like, something tells me that this is like a statistic picked up by the Koreans.
That's crazy.
Okay, Asian.
That's crazy. I don't know what to look for there. How to find that ratio, but that's crazy. But I know that. No, that's funky, man.
Yeah, body odor. Okay.
I didn't know it was related, but I just found out. Like recently, and I was like, oh, I'm surprised.
I actually, I mean, I found out about that like maybe a couple of years ago
I heard it from an artist.
Really?
An artist said that, and I was like, what?
But did this artist have the apocrine glands?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says, I have wet earwax. I also have this body odor gland. Yeah.
Okay, so it says.
Wow, didn't know. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, what do you got?
Look, even if you do smell, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Just whatever. It's all good. Just make sure you take a shower sometimes. Wear your deodorant if you want, or don't. But, I would.
Yeah,
if I had it, I guess I would. I don't know. It is up to you, man.
Yeah,
No discrimination from me. It's up to you.
yeah.
I do know that there's. I mean, I notice it on people that when they don't wear deodorant, and I'm like, whoa, this person really has a strong odor.
Oh yeah,
Just from working at the it is.
You see a lot of people come through.
But it's one of those things where maybe they're allergic to it or something, and I'm just like, well, fuck, that's all right. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no discrimination again. I just don't. I don't care. I don't think any differently.
The only time it really means something to me is when you're on a plane.
Yeah, well, you're stuck. You're stuck with.
I don't know. I had a conversation with a friend of mine last night about this. I talk a lot of weird shit, I guess, with my friends, but
right.
and
here too.
Yeah, and here too.
I mean, I just learned that you smelled a bucket of cum at a strip club. So,
Well, I didn't intentionally put my nose into it. I just happened to be,
right.
I just happened to choose the wrong door.
Yeah, and then you got into saying. We're just humans and we have weird odors. And
yeah.
Here we are.
Well, the thing is that wait, what was it?
You talked about it with your friend yesterday.
I was talking to a friend about a particular ethnic group of people that I'm not going to mention here because I just don't think it's. I don't want people to think that I have issues with a particular ethnic group, but there are certain ethnic groups that more often than not have some unique, body odor to the point where I can smell it from behind me.
Wow.
In the seat from the people with the seat behind me. It happened when I was on a flight toward. It almost happened when I was on a flight toward Singapore. And yeah, there was a group of people that I was seated in front of, and fortunately, I didn't realize I was at the wrong row. I was on my wrong row, and so this kid about my age showed up and was, I think you're in my seat. And I'm like, really? Isn't this blah, blah, blah? And he's like, no, it's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I moved, one section back and I was totally fine. And I just felt so bad for that guy because, it was musky.
So wait, when you do that, do you straight up just reach for the air thing and just turn it up more?
I would,
yeah.
And that's a 7-hour flight too, because it's from Tokyo to Singapore, which is a 7-hour flight. Wow. Altogether it's a 19-hour flight.
Holy smokes.
12 hours to Tokyo, and
Holy smokes.
And then 7 hours to Singapore. So I often think Singapore is just kind of a weird phenomenon.
It's a weird place.
Yeah, well, when but when you look at it on a map.
It's also weird. It's a dot.
It's barely there.
Yeah.
And
tiny.
how do planes find this thing?
It's a dot, dude. It's not much, but yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
So I think we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah.
For now.
Well, we have to say rest in peace to a couple of people who left us. Luke Perry.
Oh, Luke Perry, a fellow Luke. Yeah. I was really shocked, because
Dylan from 90210.
Yeah,
right? Had a stroke. At 52, which he was 52. That's a little older dude, but one of those things where it's like, man, it's weird. Like what happened? I'm sure there's going to be a report soon.
Right.
That's not natural causes, I guess.
That is natural. That is natural causes.
Technically, I guess it is, but why?
Well,
are they going to say, "Oh, this guy just ate nothing but fucking"?
No, that guy definitely took
cow
care
hearts
of
all day. And
that guy definitely took care of himself. But the thing is I have a family history of people who have either died or have suffered from strokes or aneurysms.
Right.
And so knowing that, I actually went to my primary physician and expressed my concern about, hey, could happen.
Right.
I have an uncle, a grandfather, my mom, blah, blah, blah.
What did he say or she say?
So we went and got an MRA, which there's a difference between an MRI and an MRA.
Resonance, hole.
Well, MRIs are designed to scan the imaging is designed to scan the organs, but MRAs are designed to scan specifically the vascular system.
Okay.
And
aortas. Is that vascular? That's not vascular.
No, that's well,
I'm-
it is in the circulatory system,
Yeah,
but like
I'm just
you
shooting.
know.
I'm just trying to be smart, bro.
Oh, okay.
I'm smart. I'm failing.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I called it an asshole or something.
But like fortunately, like they detected nothing. But like it's highly possible that like especially with like some like aneurysms and stuff like that, you just have a ticking time bomb in
Yeah.
your head, on
Yeah.
your neck,
Yeah,
and then
that's really scary. Yeah.
I had a friend of mine who
Someone I knew in high school, same thing. Yeah, just had an aneurysm.
well, I had a friend of mine who just like last year he had a thing in his heart, and just like I guess his a valve ripped, and like and he just like died, right there in the in his bathroom, and like nobody, like there's even if it happened in front of him, like there wouldn't have been enough time to save him or resuscitate him. It was just like so. Like that kind of like I was just thinking about this actually when I was driving here, and I was just thinking, like you got to be honest with your doctors, man. If something like if something is off, anything is off, you gotta just let them know.
Yeah.
Like don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Get that shit taken. Like
Well, it depends
addressed.
too. I guess at all ages, but I'm saying is. At our age, maybe it's a good time to really take it more
Seriously.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we got away with a lot this far. So
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so
I got away with
Yeah.
a whole lot. I can't believe I'm dead. Not dead.
rest in peace, Dylan.
Yeah,
or
and then,
Dylan or Luke
like,
Perry.
Were you ever a Prodigy fan?
I was not, but I know that song.
Yeah.
Firestarter. Yeah, it's the only song I knew.
Yeah, I used to be a fan of the Prodigy because I used to go to like raves in the early '90s, and and I like bought a bunch of their records, from the when they were at the prime, and I guess the double mohawk guy, the Firestarter,
Passed away.
he died too. And
Did it say how?
no, but like he lived like a freaking animal, man.
Was he for? I mean, how much of that was just makeup and acting versus?
From my understand, it was the image reflected the life.
Wow.
So
Wow.
he was doing like doing ecstasy and like hallucinogenics all the
Right.
goddamn time from
and
what I heard.
And the lead singer, what's his name?
I don't know his name.
And I found out just before our podcast that he is not the Prodigy.
No.
And is Prodigy a person?
I think the Prodigy is. I mean, like if you picked up the first album, the Prodigy was always 3 or 4 people. It was always 2 dancers, and like the guy who ran the synths, and then those dancers eventually evolved into singers and vocal, and rappers.
Well, his name was Keith Flint.
Keith Flint.
Yeah.
Wake Up Call.
Yeah.
What is it? What, we have to look what? So
Yeah.
can you scroll up a little?
I don't know.
Wait,
but,
we have to look after each other.
That's just Johnny Rotten said that. About Keith Flint.
Dude, Johnny Rotten, man, that guy has gotten.
And he's still alive.
Yeah, I can't believe he's still alive, and he's so fat now. He's almost as fat as Robert Smith fat.
It says that the Prodigy, Mr. Flint, I guess he died of a suicide. Yeah, took his own life.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
a bummer. Yeah, don't kids.
And I think he was 49. Yeah, I think that's the age.
Dude. Yeah, he's just around. Don't do too much ecstasy, guys. It fucks with your brain
is that what it
chemistry,
was?
man. Well, I mean, like he was. They were known
I'm
for
sure he
doing
did a lot.
like partying pretty hard.
So you were into more songs than Firestarter?
Oh yeah.
Oh, and there were other songs.
Yeah, there
That's
were
the
a
only
lot
one
of
I've
other
ever-
songs
that's the only
like
one I've-
Charlie and like Smack My Bitch Up.
Oh, that
and-
one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
I
Smack
know
My
that
Bitch Up was like sung by the other guy.
Oh, there was another guy?
Yeah, there was another guy. There was a black guy and a white guy, and that's the white guy.
Oh, I didn't even. There was another guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm pretty unfamiliar, but
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. But like I remember it was actually. I have a friend of mine, who is actually kind of young. Like I'm surprised that she was a Prodigy fan, but like. As soon as I happened to be up kind of late, and then like I got the BBC like alert, like for I was like, what? I was even surprised that like, they would be mentioned in like the BBC.
yeah.
But
Well,
you
wait,
know,
are they British?
yeah, they're
Okay.
British.
Gotcha.
But the BBC like isn't just British. The BBC's the
It's
world.
world. Yeah,
because-
because they've done a good job.
Yeah, and
Supposedly, yeah.
the sun never sets on the British Empire.
Oh. Yeah. Thank you, India. Thank you, Singapore. Thank you,
Hong Kong. Thank
yeah.
you, Canada. Thank you.
Falkland Islands, I believe, right? I don't know.
Yeah, there was and then the former Palestine and
Oh my God.
yeah,
Just keeps going. Yeah.
just keeps going,
The
man.
empire.
Those British, man, they needed to spread tentacles.
Yeah.
I actually don't. Okay, I mean, like I could even start getting into my theories on, like, the British are sore losers, and like, which is the reason why Israel, India, like, and Israel and India are in such crazy states,
Yeah.
because those were former colonies of the of England.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when they relinquished them, they just kind of put them in the worst possible case. And I think they were kind of hoping it would have played out that way in Hong Kong, like I
man.
bet you probably wish that we were still here, kind
Right.
of like thing.
But they're like, nope.
But like,
good.
yeah, but China had the sense of going like a two government system,
Yeah.
so it kind of worked out. But anyways,
Yeah.
so next week we got a guest.
Yeah, you know what? I thought that guest was coming today, so I had it wrong.
Yep.
We could have had a guest today, as a matter of fact, but we're gonna have a guest next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Next week we have Linda Lee, aka Vampy Bit Me.
Is it Lee or Lay? It's
probably Lay.
One E, right?
But like Linda Lee just sounds better to me instead of Linda Le or Le.
Okay. But maybe it sounds better to them as Lay.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
I
I
don't want to discriminate.
That's just my Chinese,
domination.
Domination kind of rubbing down on rubbing off.
I'm up for the underdog. So Linda Le.
Linda Le.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well, we could just both just call her Vampy.
Vampy Bit Me.
Vampy Bit Me. She's easily, in my eyes, one of like the top 5, maybe even top 3 American cosplayers that I know of.
Yeah, I know she's big time.
Yeah,
but
she's huge.
If she's number 3, let's just say she's number 3. Who is 1 and 2?
Well,
or who is 2 and 3 behind her if she's number 1?
Yeah. Well,
do you know of others that are
I don't know them personally,
Okay.
but I remember like seeing her photography, like the pictures of her in her cosplay, like
right.
a long time ago, and maybe like 5, maybe even a decade ago, and like and I was just like, wow, like she's freaking hot. And then like she really like works this costumes, like she does great with his characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like
100%.
she like obviously she works with a lot of people in terms of fabricating her stuff, but she also does a lot of her own sewing and like creating of her costumes,
which
and I
is
think,
cool, right? It's not just putting on someone's outfit and then rocking it. She actually makes her own shit. And,
I mean, she also works with people to help it, but like
but that matters, right? It's not like it's pre-made stuff. This is like custom made. For her.
Custom made for her.
She's involved, right?
Yep,
so,
she's involved.
I know, yeah.
And like I mean, like I've been friends with her for a little while now, and she's constantly thinking and trying to figure out like how to like move past the cosplay stuff and into just the influencer kind of thing. And so I think she'll be a really interesting conversation.
Awesome. What are we going to talk about? Cosplay?
Anime, cosplay, nerd shit.
Awesome.
Gundam.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Awesome. Okay, I better brush up on all these things.
And then like
so that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So thanks to everyone
who
checked out the show, and talk to you next week.
Alrighty.